Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of The Lost. Tonight, we return to our character retrospectives by popular demand. Seriously, these seem to be the things people love us for.
They are I would say, the most popular thing on the channel.
A lot of the time, they're the only thing on the channel these days.
Yeah, there is that. You know, I was figuring on a lax schedule, a more reduced one for the year of 2021, on account of there not being any new game coming out. Didn't expect it to be like, oh, you're going to put out 3 episodes all year.
Has that really been it? For the main Nethercast show, at least? Christ.
Maybe 5? I don't know. I'm not counting exactly, but it's been way less than it should have been. There was a big chunk through the spring and the summer and the fall where we didn't put anything out. I'm sorry. It's probably not all my fault, but I will take the blame because I could have been the one pushing if I wanted to get stuff out there.
I mean, that's on me too. The only thing I feel like I really have the urge to put out is these retrospectives.
I mean, to be fair, you were spending a large amount of time editing up that aftermath footage.
Yeah.
And
but I do think to myself, we should be doing more stuff, like just talking about MK for the sake of talking about it, like not waiting for news to show up. We really should.
Yeah, I mean, I half agree, and then on the other half of me is like, I'm kind of sick of Mortal Kombat, and maybe I'd like it better if I took a vacation from it, but...
well, we'll see what happens. I know that,
I mean, I'm not sick of making The Lost, don't get me wrong. There's
okay.
Nothing wrong with this. It's just like
I couldn't do this every week.
Talking about potential new games drains me.
Well, we'll see what happens in the next year.
Yeah.
I would like for that rumor about some sort of original trilogy game to come out.
God.
There are a few of those rumors.
Actually get their shit together and put out like the arcade remasters. Personally, and it's not just because Django is on that team, but if iBallistic was the ones they went for, that would probably produce the best product based on what I've seen.
Yeah. There was some recent screenshots that came out, and I've been told that a lot of those do not particularly exemplify what the final product would look like. Those are photoshops, and that Liu Kang is a very old model, and so...
Yeah, those don't even match, like, the stuff we saw previously when iBallistic was, before MK11, when they were trying to get the green light and didn't.
Yeah. That MK1 Scorpion Sub-Zero model still looks great.
Yeah, I mean, everything I've seen from, like, back in the day when they were posting content on, TRMK, all of that looked really good. So, yeah, I'm in their corner. Hope they get it.
Here's hoping.
But anyway...
Tonight we're here to talk about someone else.
Yes.
Tonight we're here to talk about Jade.
We are wrapping up the female ninja trilogy here. Finally. Kind of put it on hold to do the Aftermath thing, but... Back to work.
we also really didn't want to do Kitana and then Melina and then Jade. We wanted to mix it up a bit. People asking for Ermac and shit. But yeah, so it's time to get down to it. And I'm a big Jade fan. I've been looking forward to this, actually.
I think what's interesting about Jade is that she's been in barely any games considering what a fan base she has. Like, she's really, really popular for... I'm not going to say no good reason, but it's surprising how popular she is. Because, like, she was in MK2, she was in Ultimate, and then she wasn't in again until Deception. Everybody was in Armageddon. And then she was in 9, and then she wasn't in X, and then she's in 11. So it's like, it's almost every other game she doesn't show up.
Yes. But she's doing better now than she used to.
I would say that even in the game she does show up. She's not exactly a three-dimensional character. She doesn't have a wealth of backstory or emotional complexity going on. I think the vast majority of the reason she's popular is because she's basically, a ninja.
There is always
and then
that,
she
yes.
And then she has, like, the one unique aspect of her look that sets her apart from the other girls, that she's the brown-skinned one.
That does get people into the corner.
Yeah, and I think that's almost entirely it.
I think she's always had...
There is more there if you're looking for it, but it's similar to Mileena, where the people who latch onto the character in the largest numbers are usually just looking for the one trait. And, like in Melina's case, that one trait is she's, I don't know, the crazy one. She's like the Harley Quinn of Mortal Kombat. It's
Gross.
like this one shallow thing to latch onto. In Jade's case, she's the dark one. If you're looking for a black chick, there she is.
I suppose that's an aspect of it, but I always thought that she had some really cool stuff to work with. And
yeah, I mean,
I always
like
liked her
Jade.
moveset and stuff.
Yeah, Jade, she has cool moves. She has obviously the quarterstaff is very a big central piece to her moveset, and it's very flashy, and I've always enjoyed the twirling combos and things.
The projectile invincibility was a big draw for me back in the day.
Yeah. I think if if you've been around as long as we have and your memory goes back that far, everybody remembers facing Jade in the ladder and being fucking destroyed by her broken ass AI, and the first thing you're gonna think about that is bullshit, and the second thing you're gonna think about that is, can I do that?
Well, that's ultimate.
I want to be that cool.
Well, that's Ultimate 3. That's Ultimate 3. Her story starts in 2. I don't think we have any notes from Tobias or anything about any particular origins for her, do we? Any inspirations?
No, not about her specifically. The only thing I know about the hidden characters in MK2 is that Tobias has said that Boone put Reptile into one by himself, and Tobias wasn't expecting it. And as the guy who writes the story and comes up with the characters, Tobias would have liked to have more input. So when they went into MK2, he's like, okay, this time we're going to plan out the hidden characters, and I'm going to help make them, so I know what's going on. So he made Smoke and Jade, and then he went to bed at night, and Boone snuck in Noob Saibot anyway.
Well, we know he at least had a plan for Smoke, judging by the MK2 comic of some sort. We knew that he knew. We know that he knew he was going to be Lin Kuei right from the start. Jade.
Yeah, well,
Jade around MK2 is, just I guess kind of there for being there. This fun secret to fight.
Yeah, there's I guess the implication. If you introduce a character without a story, there's sort of the implication that she must have something to do with Kitana and Mileena.
You figure, right? It's the outfit, it's the fans.
Well, yeah, it's like with the male ninjas, you can't immediately assume they're all members of the same clan because we already know Scorpion and Sub-Zero are from different clans. But with the girl ninjas, Kitana and Mileena dressed the same because they were from the same backstory. So you introduce a third one, you just kind of guess, okay, well, she must work for Shao Kahn too. She must be part of the Kitana and Mileena team in some way. But, the only thing close to a story 2 actually offers is when you do whatever means are necessary to unlock a fight with Smoke or with Jade, it'll play this message on the screen calling them an undiscovered fighter from MK1.
Bullshit. Bullshit.
Yeah, That's not even canon.
No, it was a way to get people to go and pump more quarters into MK1. That's all it was. Hey, you forgot a couple. Go get them. Go, put some change in the tip jar. I have to admit, at that time, I knew it was bullshit, but man, I don't know why it was, but at the time, playing MK1 on the SNES as a kid, I had a full fucking afternoon once where I did stupid shit like try to beat everyone on the arcade ladder using kicks, trying to like get 50 wins against the computer to see if Noob Saibot popped up. Well, just to see if they were lying. Maybe not lying. Maybe.
Yeah. Yeah, I find it interesting because they've certainly had the opportunity in many games since to, I guess, confirm that Smoke or Jade was at the first tournament, and they haven't. I mean, she's there during 9, but she doesn't fight she doesn't fight at all. I guess she and Kitana fight Sonya, because Sonya and Jax are trying to escape the island, but that's not really part of the tournament. She's just kind of in the audience, and Smoke isn't there at all. So
Smoke I can get not being around. He's got his own stuff to deal with. It. If they want to throw in Jade into a future retelling of the MK1 tournament, I got no problem with that. That's cool. Gotta do some more stuff. Introduce her a little bit early.
I'm just saying, like, they've certainly had multiple games where they could have fleshed out, yes, she was at the tournament, and they just haven't. So it's like, yeah, whatever that text was supposed to mean in MK2 was bullshit.
It means give us some more money, it's all it means.
It's funny, though, Jade was almost in the movie. She was gonna fight Sonya, and they cut that fight for time.
Oh, we are gonna get to that. We're gonna get to that, because I have the novelization. And that shit's in there.
Yeah, it is.
But in the meantime, so we fought Jade in the arcade version of MK2.
Well, it's interesting because
by getting up to the
she's a question mark on the arcade ladder, which is the first time that they've like overtly given away a hidden character. And you have to beat around using only low kick or something like that.
It's one round. It's the fight immediately before the question mark.
Yeah.
And the only thing you're allowed to use is low kick. If you touch anything else, apart from the joystick itself, because you can still move.
Yeah.
So high punch, high kick, block, and low punch are all out. You get low kicks. You get whatever special uses low kicks. If you're lucky, you can maybe get a friendship off if it's the second round and your friendship uses low kick. Or a pit fatality.
Yeah.
But aside from that, nope. It's low kick and only low kick.
I'll tell you what, that question mark is right before the 3 boss fights. It's right before Shang. So if you're that high up against the AI, good luck winning a round with only one button.
It's actually, I mean, MK2 AI is what it is. You have to abuse it. You have to exploit it. You can't fight it fair, otherwise it'll...
Yeah.
It's basically, fighting Jade is a matter of, like, luring the AI into jumping forwards after you with your own backwards jump, and meeting it with a jump kick and or a sweep.
Well, I was talking about beating the guy to get to her, but then you fight her, and she has Kitana's moves, but she moves twice as fast.
You know what? I don't think she even has the square wave. I don't think I've ever seen her do it.
Just the fan throw?
I think it's just the fan throw. I'm 100% positive on that.
Yeah, I'm thinking about it. I don't think I've seen her do the square wave either.
So it's like Smoke. All Smoke has is the harpoon. Same thing with Noob Saibot.
Yeah.
Smoke actually has another thing, but I'll get to that when we do the Smoke retro.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, she's got a fan, and she's got complete fucking projectile invincibility.
It's interesting because the way her sprite is colored, like, it's not just Kitana green clothes, brown skin. Her hair is also like a reddish brown, and her fans are like copper colored.
I always thought that was really neat.
Yeah.
It's the definitive original Jade is the UMK3 one. We're not going to kid ourselves, but seeing the weapons in gold like that has kind of given me this predisposition, this preference to like equipping Jade with like gold stuff in MK11.
Yeah,
it just looks.
I try to do that too.
It just looks right to me.
I think it's interesting because, when they started getting her skin color wrong around the time of MK9 and X,
Man. Oh,
people
man.
people started arguing that her skin color has always been inconsistent. And I actually think if you compare the sprites from 2 to Ultimate to her character in Deception, those are just about the same shade of brown. It wasn't inconsistent until 9.
The only time I noticed a major fuck up was 9. And if I'm remembering right, it was like her character artwork first and foremost.
Yeah, it was the render. She looked fine in the game. It was just the render they released was too pale.
And yes, it pissed a lot of people off. And, I get it completely.
And then when they released her for mobile, around the time of MKX, that was a little too pale too, but it's also, it's kind of it's double bullshit, because that model was an unused Lee May model they just recolored to make Jade.
Oh, sad.
Yeah.
Also, what? Okay, it's always bugged me. It always will bug me.
Mm-hmm.
They fixed it for the home console versions. She has no name on her life bar. You've noticed this, right? It's the strangest thing.
I'm pretty sure I've seen that before, yeah.
I'm forgetting if Reptile and MK1 had one.
I'm pretty sure he did. Well, it's interesting because, I mean, even without her name on the health bar, you'd theoretically still know who she is from the little taunts, like when they appear at random before a fight and hint how to fight them.
Well, like at the end of every round, it says Jade wins. There's an announcer and everything.
Okay.
It wasn't that they had not decided on her name. It just wasn't on her life bar for some strange reason.
Made a mistake, forgot to code that in.
Maybe. Okay, I'm looking at some footage of like a reptile fight, and the life bar says Scorpion.
I'm not sure that's accurate. That might be from a different build, or from some fucking ROM, or Mugen, or
Well,
be anything.
See. Bottom of the pit. Checking out another completely unrelated video. Shifting forward. No, the life bar says Scorpion.
Weird.
It might be one of those things that we remember from the home versions that they fixed or altered. Because they did it for MK2.
Yeah, I definitely, I have a lot more experience having played the Super Nintendo port than the actual arcade MK1, so... It says Reptile there.
There you go. So anyway, there's that. So she shows up again in Ultimate MK... Well, before we get to that, I'll just note that, yes, Jade is a huge, tremendous pain in the ass to fight. She's got way more health, or takes much less damage than normal people. Same with Smoke and Noob.
Yeah, that was another thing. It wasn't bad enough they moved faster. They also had bigger health bars.
Yeah, and going into that fight, you had absolutely no way of knowing that she's completely invulnerable to projectiles. It's fun. All that said, though, she is probably the overall easiest secret character to fight. Probably the easiest one overall to beat.
I'm not sure if her and Smoke were immune to sweeps, or if they were just programmed to automatically throw you if you tried.
They weren't immune, but your timing had to be really fucking good, because the MK2 input reading is second to none.
Yeah, they'll fucking throw you from halfway across the map. They cheat like a motherfucker.
Smoke specifically. But yeah, I think you just had to be really good, catch them while they were coming down from a jump, or just be really lucky to be ducking while they threw a projectile at you, and, Anyway, so that's Jade and MK2 in a nutshell.
Yeah, she was interesting. She was a curiosity, and then she was an Ultimate and suddenly became an actual character.
Well, there is a little bit of history between 2 and 3 that I want to specifically cover, because it kind of ties into what they did with her in Ultimate 3. You might remember that there was a Mortal Kombat trading card game around about that time.
Vaguely.
Vaguely. And she also shows up in the Malibu comics. I'll summarize those briefly later.
She does.
But those cards and the Malibu comics have one thing in common. They don't show her... Well, the cards might show her also using the fan toss, since she had it in the game. But they gave her something else. They gave her this ability to, like, use a charged up glowing green fist attack. Like, she had this green punch. It's on a couple of her cards. Let's see if I can find it here.
That sounds like what they do when they don't know what to give a character. Like, in the MKX comic, Reiko, who at that point already had a fully established moveset. He'd been in 2 games, and Sean Kittleson still has him doing like a glowing red fist attack. I think it was supposed to be a version of his shoulder charge from Armageddon. He just had a red fist instead of the blue ghost Shao Kahn helmet.
Okay, for the Mortal Kombat card game, they gave her an air attack, where she's just kind of... I guess they just gave her Sonya or Kitana's square wave.
Mm-hmm.
They gave her a Babality. Elbow punch. Fan lift. Her fan is oddly green here, and looks like I can't tell who she's lifting up. It might be Johnny. She's lifting them up with a bunch of green mist. Fan swipe. Fan throw. The fan is again green.
What color is the character wearing? Okay, give them that, but energy.
Okay, they gave her a friendship called the Jade Dragon. And it just looks like she just whips a little Jade Dragon that's glowing out of nowhere, just hands it to the person.
Just gives you a statue?
Gives a little Jade statue.
I could see that being an actual friendship.
They gave her a fatality called, wait for it, Jaded. And she's got her hand on one ninja's head, and she just appears to be turning him into, I don't know, a green statue or something.
Okay. Her name is Jade. She turns people to Jade. That's an attempt was made.
They also gave her a special called the Whirlwind Toss. It kind of looks like she's throwing a fan at Kintaro and it's spinning him backwards through the air somehow.
Sure. Okay.
Okay, wait. This is interesting. This card is called Phantasmal Defense. It's her projectile invulnerability.
Huh.
She's still got the fans in this. I wonder what they were working off of.
Well, she is immune to projectiles in
MK2. Right. I'm sure. Okay,
so they just... I guess when they were coming up with moves for him in Ultimate, they actually decided to make her secret character ability an actual special.
Yeah, they were probably just
clever.
They were probably just working for these cards off of, like, her innate invulnerability to projectiles in the arcade game.
Yeah. But, I mean, it is kind of clever that when they made her a real character in Ultimate, that's how they came up with that move. Because the rest of her kit really doesn't relate to her original moveset in MK2 at all. Like, they made up all these new moves because they're not going to give her Kitana's fan again.
No, like, the closest thing to that is, like, her little boomerangs.
Yeah, her fucking, the glaive from Blade.
The glaive. I always figured that's what that was, right? That was a matter of them, like, keeping the spirit of her throwing a bladed circular weapon through the air.
Yeah, that's kind of how I've always seen it. Which again goes to us in 11 trying to pick the ones that are gold.
Also, I do want to point out that here on these cards, she is undoubtedly Caucasian. So things were completely consistent even back in the day, depending on
those are using the jaggy triangular Malibu art, aren't they?
I don't actually recognize. You know what? I think that these actually might have been done by Patrick Rollo, who was the Malibu artist for a good while. But these aren't just like grabs from the comics or anything. This is original artwork in a lot of cases.
Right.
But anyway, yeah. So they clearly didn't quite have her ethnicity really down pat until MK3, and even then, Annihilation happened afterward, and we'll get to that.
Well, I definitely have some things to say about the live-action and animated attempts at the character when we get there.
But first, Ultimate 3.
Yes.
Man, fuck this bitch! Fuck you! How many goddamn quarters, motherfucker? How many do you need? Oh my god, oh Jesus Christ.
The only path to victory is to find a ladder she's not on.
There are letters in EGM about... Actually, no, the one I remember is... They were for Mortal Kombat Trilogy before it came out, talking about the game, and I think it was John or Ed actually said, we had to tone the Jade AI down because it was giving Claire such a hard time in the arcades. This thing was no joke. Like, all the reactiveness of any given MK3 character, plus projectile invulnerability. You know, sometimes you could trade with characters. With Jade, it just comes on and you're going to eat the full 7-hit dial combo. Every time. Every time.
Just enjoy having that staff twirled all up in your face. It's gonna keep happening.
It got to the point in the arcades where, like, I think that my head would just kind of nod back and forth in time to the hits. Just... Fucking pain. That said, though, it was really rewarding practicing that auto combo until I could do it sight unseen. It felt good.
I mean, like I said, your first reaction is fucking bullshit. Your second is, how can I do that?
Exactly. And I introduced the AI to the receiving end of that shit quite a fair bit, if I do say so myself. Oh, it was rewarding. I love Jade. So many fun, happy arcade memories of Jade. We did not cover the fact that in MK2, she had some very specific pop-ups, because Jade is the origin of the name Hornbuckle. We didn't mention that.
That is true. One of her little hints when she would pop up at the beginning of a round to let you know, hey, I'm a secret character that exists. Here's a hint how you can find me. Which Smoke also did, and Reptile did back in MK1. One of hers was to ask the question, Hornbuckle who? Which was originally just a reference to one of the developers, a lady named Leanne Hornbuckle. You know, they would do these things, the Midway guys, and you would have no idea what the fuck it meant. Like, who's the toasty guy? Why's he there? I don't understand.
And, you know, such an interesting sounding name like Hornbuckle, it has to belong to a secret character, obviously.
Yeah.
And it's not going to be that guy on fire in the background, because his name is obviously Torch, or Blaze, or Flaming Fire Pants Man, or some shit. No, Hornbuckle had to be the green Liu Kang motherfucker in the background. That's how we all decided that was. That's where that shit comes from.
It had to be. It's the only answer.
Truly wonderful, the mind of a child.
So yeah, she also, I think she would say Chun-Li who.
It was either I think it was either that or Chun-Hu. I think it was just Chun-Hu.
Chun-Hu. Chun-Hu, yeah.
Cheeky bastards. She also said before the question mark, that was one. She has something involving low kicks.
Reptiles are so famous. It's like, look to La Luna, blocking will get you nowhere. Everybody knows the reptile ones. Nobody can remember the Smoke and Jade ones.
I tried to commit them down to memory. I don't remember what the hell they were. I am called Jade. That's a good one. Oh, Jesus Christ. Hang on, there's a list of them here. I just pulled them up. Ermac who? I will meet you in Gro's lair. Before
that is where you fight them.
Before the question mark. I am one of three. Alone is how you will find me. One day we will fight. Bring on Kano and Sonya. Son of a bitch. I don't think I've ever seen that one.
I don't think I have either.
Ah, and my favorite. Restrict yourself.
Yes. That's the only... Well, no, there was the other one about kicking. That's,
It's not on the list, though. I think that restrict yourself is the only one.
Oh, that's the only hint they give you that you...
I think that's it.
Use a specific button.
Very vague. Just vague enough to keep you guessing.
Yeah. It likes the secrets.
I also really like I Am One of Three. They must have implemented that one in, like, the second...
That is...
Like, the revision 4.0 or 3.1 or whichever one it was that brought Noob in later on.
Yeah, that is, like, the only hint you have that Noob Saibot exists, because Smoke and Jade will pop up before matches or peek out from behind living forest trees. Noob Saibot, fucking nope. And he has the most bullshit way to find him. You have to play like 50 fucking matches in versus. You have to do multiplayer.
You have to win 50 matches.
Yes. You have to, to stay in the game, you have to win. You have to have a 50-match streak in fucking multiplayer.
I mean, it's not impossible. Like, that is how arcades worked back in the day, Assuming that I was, like, I don't know, 15, 16, apart from, not like the gonky, geeky 11 or 12-year-old I was, I could have easily seen myself playing MK2 for an hour and a half, beating everyone who came up to me if I was at the time to spare.
If you had how many? That's like $25 to throw away. You and a friend could okay, you can beat me 50 times just to find Noob Saibot.
I'm sure people out there have done it. Absolutely.
God, how many matches do you have to play to get Pong?
250.
That's right.
I did that on SNES once.
That's about the only way you're gonna...
I think I went blind. Honestly, thinking back on it, as a kid, it's like, hey, a cool little Easter egg for those of you who really, really want to play the game. Give a chance to play the old game. Fun. Now it just seems like such a troll move.
In retrospect, Pong isn't even that fun.
It feels like they're saying, go play something else. Anything else.
At least with 3, the realm of Relum Okanep, you play fucking Galaga, but you just needed to know a combat code for that.
What the fuck did Relum Okanep even stand for again?
I believe it was it's a mix-up of the names Miller and Pacheco or something like that. Pachenko?
So it's more
another developer.
Okay, so it's more developers. Okay.
Yeah, it's more developers.
Presumably people who really, really liked Pong. But back to Jade.
Yes.
Oh, man.
So we were introduced to Jade with a full backstory and moveset. And as we might have expected, she is in fact connected to Kitana and Melina, in that she also works as one of Shao Kahn's ninja assassin ladies. Specifically, we are told that since Kitana has, run away, gone AWOL, turned her back on her stepfather, Shao Kahn, Jade and Reptile have been sent to retrieve her. And Jade specifically is now struggling between following the orders of the Emperor or taking the side of her best friend, Kitana. So, she's basically Kitana's Smoke. Sub-Zero has Smoke, Kitana has Jade.
Gotta make a choice.
If you get ninjas with friends. This is what
it's
we
nice.
Like.
I do want to mention that in the lead up to Ultimate, we were having a conversation the other day where we were talking about like the time between Vanilla 3 and Ultimate, and like how it seemed like such a long time at the time. But they both came out within the same year.
Yeah, it felt like an eternity when we were kids.
It really did.
But it was actually still 95.
Within the same year. Now, I remember having that issue of Electronic Gaming Monthly that talked about how we knew that these 4 people were coming back. We knew about Kitana and Scorpion and Reptile and Jade. And Jade was the one I was really, really excited and happy to actually get control of. She was new.
Yeah, the other 3, we've played them before. Those are returning characters. Jade is, I mean, she was into, but she's effectively a new character.
It's like, finally, we get to control this person that kicked our ass.
Yeah.
And she kept kicking our asses, even when she was controllable. But as I was saying before, whole new moveset, and they did bring back the fact, and they did carry forward, at least from the media, from the card game and the comic at the time, the fact that she could encase herself in some kind of jade glowing green energy and rush forward with the kick.
Yeah, so there's an interesting thing about that kick. Starting from Deception on, or at least Deception in MK9, because I think they changed it in 11. But in Deception in 9, they were calling it a shadow kick, because it does effectively look like Johnny Cage's shadow kick. Although, it's worth noting that in Deception in 9, the shadow special effect didn't exist for anybody's moves. They all had a glowing mist instead, because of the graphics of the time and limitations and whatnot. But the original UMK3 version of this kick, there's no shadow, there's no trail. Her body glows, and smoke comes off of her. And that's the effect. And it wasn't called a shadow kick, it was called the Blazing Nitro kick.
Or something like that.
Yeah.
Or the green energy kick. It depends what strategy guide you read.
That's true.
It was formerly called the Blazing Nitro kick in the NRS era, I think.
Yeah, the thing about the arcade era that a lot of newer fans might not know is, since you didn't have the ability to hit a pause button and look at a move list in-game, the names of moves were rarely made official. You always had... You basically knew what the name of a move was by what the strategy guides were calling it, and all the strategy guides were made by a third party like Brady Games or whoever. And so you would have, in one book, it would be called the Ice Clone, and in another book, it would be called the Sub-Xerox. In one book, it would be called Liu Kang's Flying Kick, and in another book, it would be called the Dragon Kick.
You know, we're in the wrong timeline, Razor. We should all be calling it the Sub-Xerox.
I prefer the Sub-Xerox. But no, it was Raiden. Does he do the body torpedo, or does he do the Superman? You know?
Yeah. But for the record, I always, starting with Deception onwards, when they turned it into just Johnny's shadow kick, I was upset. I was a bit disappointed.
Yeah, it bothers me because, there's a lore element to the shadow effect. That they started exploring... for Nightwolf, they started exploring it in Deception, and for Johnny Cage, they waited until, like, MK9 and X to start explaining it. But basically, everybody who does shadow moves is channeling spirits. Either their ancestors, or in Shao Kahn's case, stolen souls. So... if Jade is doing shadow moves, there needs to be, like, a thing in her backstory about where those ghosts that she is a medium for are fucking coming from.
Oh, man,
but
I can't...
obviously, it's officially not a shadow kick. She doesn't do shadows.
I've always maintained that they should give her some more, like, glowing green energy moves. It's in the name, it's cool.
Well, here's my thing, is that, you got a little taste of the bitterness when you were talking about those trading cards giving her just generic glowing green powers because they didn't know what her moves were yet.
Yeah.
I don't like it when a character's special moves are the same color as their primary color scheme, whatever they're wearing. I don't like it when Melina's Psy Throw is purple. It should be fucking blue.
I get where you're coming from.
I just think that it looks boring and uncreative when a person's moves are the same color as their clothes. And I feel the same way about, like, if I'm looking at fan art and somebody colors Kitana's eyes blue just because she wears blue, or if, some shipper pairs Kitana and Sub-Zero just because they're both blue ninjas. I hate that shit. So, if it were up to me, and this goes into MK11, them making her staff green, her staff should be fucking purple. So, if it were up to me, the Nitro kick would be purple, not green. I would prefer all of her moves to have purple energy. Because I think it looks better.
I see where you're coming from. But that green glowing kick and those training cards are too much of a part of the back of my mind. I do agree. I don't think the staff should have ever been turned green in 11. That's too much green. It's everywhere. Dear God. But I don't know. I think that she could have, like, some sort of Jade command grab where she just smashes you in the face with a fist for, I don't know, maybe make them EX moves or something. I think it's it's too neat of an idea to waste.
If it's one color regular and another color when they EX it, I think her projectile invulnerability in 9 would go from white to purple when you EX'd it.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. I would be okay with something like that, maybe. But, like, while I'm on the subject, originally, in Ultimate MK3, and in Deception, her staff is completely metal. It's a pole that gets an aura of glowing purple when she, like, charges it up to hit you with it. It wasn't a fucking Darth Maul lightsaber like it is now.
Which appears to be made of glass. I don't know.
Yeah, she's actually hitting you with a fluorescent light tube. And and we know it's a fluorescent light tube because in both MK11 and Battle for the Realms, Liu Kang snaps it in half. Like it's an actual physical object. You can break the glowing part.
I'd be perfectly fine with it going back to being just straight up metal, thanks.
I would also, yes. I'm not a fan of her whacking you with a fluorescent tube.
It just feels like weak sauce. But anyway. So, Jade, Ultimate MK3. Mission from Shao Kahn.
Yeah.
Find Kitana, bring her back alive.
So we learned that Kitana is her best friend. We learned that for whatever reason she either is loyal to the Emperor or afraid of the Emperor enough that it's actually like a difficult thing for her to have to decide whether to capture Kitana or switch sides with her.
Now this is something else we were talking about lately. Because you think she should be terrified of him.
I think Jade's characterization, and this I'll bring it up more when we get to MK9 and they made some additions to her backstory. But I think Jade, because we know for a fact that she is a good person, that she joins the heroes in at the end of this game and across future games, that it makes more sense for her to be serving Khan out of fear than out of some kind of pride, let's call it. That it doesn't necessarily track for a character we're supposed to think of as a good guy to enjoy working for Shao Kahn or, be loyal to him.
I've always been of the opinion that, Outworld is her home, and, Shao Kahn probably gave her... obviously now we have that lore wherein her parents sold her to him.
Well, there's another aspect of it I want to talk about, is that Kitana discovers that she's from Edenia, but Jade seems to have known all along. Like, they never bring it up, but in future games, after Ultimate MK3, it's just taken for granted Jade is also Edenian, and she apparently always knew she was, like, unlike Kitana, who was raised to think Khan was her father, and discovered otherwise later. I think it's a little weird that they never talk about that. That, like, Jade never has any moments of dialogue, or they've just never gone into the part of her backstory where she's always known she was Edenian.
Maybe she... I mean, I think it's probable that she was sold or given to Shao Kahn when she was a little bit older than we know Kitana was as a baby. I'm guessing, I don't know, give or take 500 years, 700 or so.
I mean, Edenian aging is a whole conversation topic.
It could really stand to be better defined.
Yeah.
But anyway, I wanted to just say that, like, I always thought going back to this Jade UMK3, I've always thought that going back to this UMK3 Jade bio, that it had to be a really difficult choice for her. Like, it couldn't just be a matter of, you know, do I literally side with the guy that I'm terrified of, or do I side with my best friend? I always felt like it needed to have a bit of gravitas. So I figured,
well,
like,
I agree with that, because obviously when it comes to MK9 retelling that story, they just have Jade immediately go, "Oh, Kitana's been thrown in the dungeon? I guess I'm betraying Shao Kahn."
Yeah, they just glossed over that completely.
It wasn't satisfying at all. It didn't feel like that's how it would have gone, you know?
One of many cuts to the MK3 story.
I certainly like the idea of Jade having to struggle with the choice. What she's struggling with, for me, would be a belief Shao Kahn's gonna win. If I turn on him, I'm fucking dead. Because
I don't doubt that that's there. I tend to believe that most of Shao Kahn's people are terrified of him, and they should be. The guy's a god emperor.
Yeah.
But I do think that it would be nice if just one person out of Shao Kahn's court of psychopaths and murderers actually was there because they liked being there, because they believed in what they were doing.
Well, I think that they're, like, I mean, to say Ermac is kind of cheating because mind control, but
that's it, right?
Motaro's loyal.
To a degree, I guess. Motaro's loyal because he's just been given, like, this chance. Like,
Baraka has endings that say he wants to turn, but he never actually did.
That does show me, though, that he would do it first opportunity. What? Shao Kahn lost a fight? Pussy bitch. I'm out of here. That's it.
Well, that's the thing about the Tarkatans, is they're characterized as following the Alpha, whoever's the strongest guy in the realm. And it's, you know, if Shao Kahn was ever proven not the strongest guy, then they'd immediately switch sides. Just because it's that follower mentality. But there's a risk where if you don't give somebody their own backstory where they're like, this is what I would do, this is how I would take the throne if the opportunity was presented to me, then you risk having a one-dimensional henchman character who doesn't have any, like, motivation of their own. And that's why every character seems disloyal. Even though, like, the vast majority of them have endings where it says they would turn, or they're planning to turn. Most of them never got the chance.
I suppose these days, maybe if there is someone in that court who is probably really loyal, it might be Reiko. Maybe.
Yeah, I would say Reiko is a true believer. He's certainly he's got like a hero worship thing of Khan. Like they make more of a comedic thing out of wearing the helmet than it should logically be. Reiko, Shao Kahn is his role model, and the helmet is the Outworld crown. He wants to be the king, but he wouldn't kill Khan to get it. He wants to be his successor.
It is a bitchin' hat.
It's a pretty sick fucking helmet.
But yeah, just getting that out there. That's kind of the way I've always looked at Jade. Is that would be nice if she was that one person for whom that choice of siding with Kitana.
Well,
or staying
I mean,
with
if you're
Shao
talking
Kahn,
about following Khan because you believe in the cause and the strength and the honor and all that, the Shokan would fall into that if Khan didn't, betray them.
there is that too. It's a pride thing.
Also, I would say Melina is mostly a true believer.
I kind of don't count Melina because she's fucking nuts.
Yeah.
Just the notion of having like one stable, sane person who's there because they want to be, that actually enjoys the benefits of working for Shao Kahn, whatever those happen to be. I always wanted to just
Reiko and Motaro then.
I always just wanted, like, make that struggle and that desire for a choice to make the choice difficult. I wanted that to mean something. I always hoped it would.
I mean, this is a total headcanon, but I always kind of imagined that whatever the Shokan would pick, like if they turn on Shao Kahn, Kintaro would be like, "Nah, I'm staying." Because fuck you guys, you're racist.
Oh, we're gonna have fun with him. Oh man.
Yeah. I bet Chameleon, if he had a personality, would be loyal.
Would he be?
He might.
Would we
He
know?
might be a creature made in a lab, maybe he doesn't have a personality. You know what? Scarlet's loyal.
Does Shao Kahn know Chameleon even exists?
Both versions of Scarlet are technically loyal.
I guess. But anyway. Why does Jade have a desert?
Yeah, theoretically, Jade has a desert. The desert is not called Jade's Desert in other games. Like, it was just called The Desert in 9.
Fuck those games. It's Jade's Desert.
I
Says
don't know
so right there.
So here's the thing. Is obviously the desert has Cyrax stuck in the sand in the background. And Cyrax getting stuck in the sand is a thing that canonically happens. And we learn in Deadly Alliance that the desert he gets stuck in is supposed to be the Gobi Desert in China, because that's the one nearest the Lin Kuei headquarters, and he was trying to get home when he got stuck. So this is an Earthrealm desert.
You know what my headcanon for that has always been?
What's that?
How often do megalomaniacal overlords reward their servants with some pittance of land?
You can have this stupid fucking wasteland if you do my bidding.
That was Jade's present.
Alright.
That's why it's Jade's desert. You get the Gobi.
Bring back Kitana, and you can have all of this sand.
Kintaro over in the corner, and the new car!
So, I mean, obviously there's a whole different story for the desert in 9, where it's got this big statue to Sindel, because it's this place on Earth where she fucking killed herself to cast a spell, because the Elder Gods don't do their jobs in that version of the time. It doesn't matter. That's not important.
I have an idea. Can we not?
It's still an Earthrealm. It's still an Earthrealm in 9, despite the other changes.
So we do get... Okay, so Shao Kahn dispatches Jade and Reptile to go capture Kitana.
Right.
What do you think that conversation was like? How far did they travel together? How far did they have to fucking go? Side by
Jade
side.
and Reptile road trip?
I have
always
wanted to see this shit animated. Always.
We didn't talk about it yet, but Jade's role in the Malibu comics was largely that her and Smoke were a pair of low-tier members of Shao Kahn's army who were always trying to, capture or kill an Earthrealmer to get into Khan's good graces, and they'd keep fucking it up. That's basically what you've got here. They just traded Smoke for Reptile.
Oh, man. The money I'd pay to have this in a fucking show. I bet the dialogue would be wonderful.
Oh, I bet Jade hated it.
So, you like stuff? Shut the fuck up, Reptile. Shut the fuck up, Reptile.
Don't talk to me. just
don't.
Just keep walking. Just don't talk.
Nice.
Don't talk to me. Don't look at me.
Nice desert you're gonna get here.
Just 1 foot in front of the other.
Wanna see my giant lizard? Hit upside the head with a staff.
So when she eventually does turn and take Kitana's side, the game says it's because she found out that, she was given orders to bring Kitana back alive, but Reptile was given orders dead or alive, whichever one's more convenient. And she's like, I'm not gonna let you kill my friend. But what if the real reason was she was just fucking sick of Reptile?
I do believe that, canonically, they caught up to her, they confronted her, and Jade did her job, and they kind of had her, dead to rights. Then Reptile, either takes off the mask... sorry. And then Reptile either takes off the mask and starts getting ready to vomit acid all over her, or, says something to the effect of, well, now it's time to die. Those aren't our orders. Yes, they are. They're my orders. And that's the moment where Jade decides, nope, fuck this. I've made my choice.
Yeah, that's kind of how I imagine it too. Because, and again, this goes back to my eternal disappointment with 9. It's not only less interesting for Jade to just immediately go, oh, they're putting Kitana in the dungeon, I guess I have to go free her and become a traitor. It's also less interesting for Reptile to literally do fucking nothing in story mode. When he could have been doing this.
This is a thing that happened. It's backed up in her ending. She makes the decision to assist Kitana and thwarts an assassination by Reptile. That's it. I have to assume, this clears the path for Kitana to turn Sindel against the Emperor. I have to assume that this is actually 100% canon. This happened.
This all definitely happened, yeah.
She hit Reptile upside the fucking head.
It's her backstory and Reptile's backstory. Yep. Both say, they were both sent to get Kitana, and Reptile had different orders. And we know from the next time Jade shows up, which weirdly wasn't until Deception, but we know that she takes Kitana's side and she ends up in Edenia at the end of this game. So it's just kind of obnoxious to not do that.
We could probably do an entire episode on the stuff MK9 cut out of the 3 section in order to tell a 2-hour story.
We could do a 3-parter on the stuff 9 cut that shouldn't have been cut.
I mean, I get it. I really do. It's just that, the events of Mortal Kombat 3 and a 2-hour story are not compatible subjects.
No,
There's
they're
a
really
lot of
not.
shit going on.
That's it in a nutshell, is you can't put those 3 games in the same story mode. There's too much going on.
I feel like if you're going to tell MK3 all of it with every character storyline intact, that's a fucking Netflix miniseries.
And as you play through it, you can feel them telling less and less of it as it goes on. Because you get to the point of where the MK3 story starts, and it's just Stryker, Cabal, they spend a bunch of time in a church, and then they fight Shao Kahn. It's so fucking short!
So the only other thing of note from Jade's Ultimate and Trilogy period is that the Ultimate guys, the new characters, the 4, out of all of them, I think that this was in development maybe for the arcade version, but they only managed to get them in for Trilogy. In Trilogy, they gave Jade, Scorpion, Reptile, and Kitana their own ending artwork. Original stuff.
Originally, the endings were just the same shot as the bios. It's their versus screen pose in front of fucking the... It's like the background of the Portal Bridge, the Lost but Orange.
Yes.
The stage the show is named after.
Uh,
But yeah, in Trilogy, they got pictures the way everybody else had pictures. Like, Jade's got this neat artwork of her standing there in the middle of the picture, holding her staff, and to one side is Kitana, to the other side is Shao Kahn. Reptile's got... It's kind of just him doing a slight variation on his versus pose in front of a photo of a lizard's eyeball, but something. Raiden had a picture in Trilogy too. It's like the Elder Gods as these towering silhouettes over top the skyline of the city.
He got two. In Trilogy, MK2 Raiden has like him like contrasted against a black background. The MK1 version has the gods over the city.
Yeah. There's an interesting thing going on with Trilogy that, if you don't know, the only blue screen actors who returned from previous games were Kano, Kung Lao, Raiden, and who's the Jax?
Yeah.
Yeah, Kano, Kung Lao, Raiden, and Jax. So they all got, I can't call them skins because they're separate slots on the select screen. It's like in Smash Brothers, Mario and Dr. Mario are two separate characters. So there was like MK2 Jax and MK3 Jax, MK1 Raiden and MK2 Raiden, and so on. And the older skins had slightly different ending pictures. I think they had the same ending text, but they had different pictures.
Let's see. Raiden. Core of the Earth is shaken. Raiden emerges victorious. Yeah, Raiden's text is the same in both versions. Kano.
The picture's different, yeah. Kano, I'm reading it right now. It's the same text, but the MK1 Kano has a picture of MK1 Kano in front of the masked guards on Shang's Island.
Yeah, they plainly just threw this together last minute.
Yeah, they just smushed some sprites together and called it a day, but it is interesting.
But I was going to say, you know what the funny thing about all this is? For Trilogy, although the four new guys may have got their own endings, their own ending portraits, they completely forgot about all the secret characters. They forgot about Ermac, Classic Sub, Melina, Human Smoke.
Yeah, they recorded a whole new guy to do Johnny Cage in Trilogy, and they didn't give his ending a picture. It's just a versus screen on the fucking orange portal background.
That's why I tend to think that Jade's ending amongst those four was something that they wanted to do for the original Ultimate 3 release in the arcades, but just didn't have the time. I think
Makes sense.
I just think that stuff got left by the wayside.
Yeah, there's certainly this feeling that, like, Ultimate and Trilogy was kind of them taking Ultimate and finishing off the assets they already had, because the home versions of Ultimate had Rain and Noob Saibot. So it doesn't feel like two separate games so much as it feels like a gradual morphing from Ultimate into Trilogy. As they just took the game and kept adding assets.
So anyway, I think that about covers it for Jade's Trilogy and Ultimate portion of things.
Yeah, that's basically it.
And we would not see her again until Deception, along with many, many cast members.
Yeah, and not even a mention. Like, back in those days, if a character wasn't in the next game, you were just as likely to be right as not if you guessed they fucking died.
There was a lot of that going on, I remember that.
Yeah, when Jade wasn't in 4, I was just like, I guess Jade's fucking dead. You just kind of assume people eat fatalities because these games are about people dying.
Well, let's see now.
But no, she popped back up in Deception. It's like, hi, I've been here all along. I've just been, in Edenia.
8 years. 8 damn years of wondering what the hell happened to that girl. And so many others.
Yeah, this is this is what I was talking about at the beginning of the episode, about how these characters... Jade is one of those ones that isn't in that many games and will disappear for long stretches of time, but she's still amazingly popular despite it.
But it was refreshing to see her come back finally.
Yeah. So, Deception isn't super clear about what Jade's new job is. I think she's the leader of the Royal Guard? She's either that or the General of the Army. It's whatever she has, it's a high-ranking position. She's close to the throne.
She gets stuff to do there in her own story, and she's kind of tied with Sindel a little bit as well, too.
Yeah. The gist is that, Kitana went into Deadly Alliance as the leader of the army. She took them into Outworld because she heard Shao Kahn was still alive but weak, and now was the best time to, siege his fortress and kill him. And that didn't work out for her because the Deadly Alliance beat her to it, and then she died fighting them. And then Onaga resurrected Kitana and put her under mind control, and used her to attack Edenia, because Edenia had some stolen documents that used to belong to Shao Kahn about how the Kamidogus work and how to merge them that Onaga was looking for.
Yeah, this stuff kind of doesn't really wind up happening from what we can tell.
Well, there is...
Well, this whole bit about, getting a bunch of spells to seal Onaga back into his body that Sindel does in her ending.
Sindel's ending... No, we're jumping ahead, though. So, what does happen is that Onaga has Tanya working for him, and he has Kitana ensorcelled, and he takes the two of them and he attacks Edenia, and he throws Sindel in the dungeon, which is, by the way, the third time in canon that Edenia has been effectively conquered by an invading force.
Not a good place to live.
And the second time out of 2 appearances in a row that Sindel has been thrown in her own dungeon by one of these invaders. Because Shinnok did it in 4.
Oh, God.
So you start to see why they didn't free Edenia in the new timeline. I know Edenia is one of the more popular realms, and hosts many of the most popular characters, and people often lament the fact that it was not allowed to be a location in 9X or 11. But they have always struggled finding a role for it in the lore,
true.
Because it's just second Earth. It's like Damsel in Distress the realm.
I mean, you know what? I would not mind at all if we had a game where we just weren't on Earth. Where we're in Edenia and Outworld. And, I don't know, Chaos Realm. You know what? The further away we are from Earth, the less chance there is of having special forces shit in our faces every 5 minutes, and I'm okay with that.
It's a fair point, but too many of the main cast, even if you cut Johnny and Sonya and Jax, all of the good ninjas, all the good male ninjas are from Earth.
We can have reasons for them to be...
Raiden and Fujin are from Earth.
I can think of reasons for Johnny to be in Edenia. He's filming filming a movie and Kitana wants him out of her house. The shit writes itself.
We're shooting on location in Edenia. Okay.
Just say I don't have to be on Earth all the time. I do miss it. I really do miss it.
It's weird because even if you do a different era, obviously we've both long advocated for the Kitana Melina Jade adventure games. That's certainly one where you could place the entire game in Outworld. But that's like the only example I could think of. Like if you do, we'll do the Great Kung Lao era. Well, Great Kung Lao's from Earth.
Well, there ain't no special forces
So
back in the day. Victory, anyway.
Yeah, I mean, if you're just looking to get Sonya and Jax out of there, there's ways.
Yeah.
There's lots of ways. But yeah, so Onaga attacked Edenia, threw Sindel in her own dungeon.
Jade witnesses
Kitana
the arrival.
Guard that dungeon. Yeah, Jade
sees Onaga show up, presumably sees him kill Kitana, goes to Edenia to tell Sindel that Kitana's dead, and
that's right. I had forgotten the beginning of Jade's bio says she was coming to fight the Deadly Alliance, but she got there late. So yeah, she was going to help Kitana out. I forgot about that. I thought she was in Edenia the whole time.
No. This is how it happens. Like, she gets there, she tries to help, too late, goes over to Edenia. Hey, Mr. Daughter's dead. Where's Sindel? And Tanya has put Sindel in the dungeon. And this is where we find that Jade does not particularly care for Tanya at all.
Which kind of makes some sense. Tanya has,
sense.
Betrayed Edenia in the past. Although I have long argued that considering Jade was not present for the events of MK4 that we're aware of, the vitriol with which she despises Tanya in Deception, the cruelty with which she wishes to finish her off in her ending, is a bit over the top for just, I defend this realm and you're a traitor to it. It feels personal. It's
a very definite, concrete attempt to give Jade her own arch nemesis. And to pair Jade and Tanya together. Absolutely.
I would like to see more between them. I would like to see a version of MK4 where Jade is present to explore how well these two knew each other before Tanya turned traitor, and how maybe Jade has a reason to feel personally betrayed and to hate her this much.
Would have been great if she were an X instead of giving us Kitana, because people expect Kitana to be there for gameplay reasons, wouldn't it?
Well, we're not. I mean, there are a lot of problems with trying to tell that story in X. They would have to not be Revenants.
Yeah, it's
Edenia
true.
would have to be there for Shinnok to conquer again.
But I mean,
Tanya would have to do the Devora role like she did in 4.
But you know what? At the very least, they could have given us non-canon dialogue that could have showed us how they relate to each other. And
would have been nice.
That's all I'm saying.
I'd like to see, I'd like to see a version of MK4 where it starts out, you're in Edenia and you get to see the culture, maybe they're the realty are having parties and being high society and whatnot, and, Kitana, Sindel, Jade, and Tanya are all at these events, because Tanya is herself the daughter of a nobleman. It would be nice to see them interact before the point at which Shinnok shows up.
They keep missing each other in games.
Yeah. That's my problem with it. So anyway, Jade frees Sindel, and the two of them set out to be like, okay, well, we've got to stop Onaga, free Kitana, kill Tanya. And Sindel takes point on the stopping Onaga part, although none of that comes true, while Jade sets out to personally just ruin Tanya's day. Because this ending, which also doesn't come true, but it's worth mentioning anyway.
Yeah, this ending is something. The traitor Tanya had given the Dragon King the information he needed to finish merging the Kamidogu. But before he conquered all the realms, Jade would see Tanya dead. Jade had allowed Baraka's soldiers to capture her, feigning defeat in battle. As Tanya approached her prisoner, Jade waited for the right moment. And through a glass orb filled with concentrated Tarkata essence at her. The glass broke, splashing its contents across Tanya's body. Baraka and his vile savages worked themselves into an uncontrolled frenzy. They perceived Tanya to be a rival male and instinctively attacked. I doubt she survived the encounter.
So Tarkatans,
filthy after having
which
read
are
that,
so Tarkatans, which particularly in Deception, behaved more like animals than sapient beings, and would respond to things like scents and pheromones, and I guess the question at hand here is exactly what is in a jar full of concentrated Tarkatan essence.
Is it semen, Razor?
It might be. It might be.
Why?
I'm not saying it is for sure, but it might be.
Now, I want to point out that in this screenshot, Tanya's chest and shoulders and arms are kind of full of this, splashed with this pinkish, reddish...
Yeah, there's like a reddish-orange... I would call it blood and gore.
But it's a bit light, and
goop.
I don't want to be part of this conversation anymore. Can we move on? I don't like it here. It's scary. Too many questions.
Where did Jade get a jar of Tarkatan essence?
I don't... You know these Tarkatan camps, man. They're always working themselves into frenzies over something or another. Maybe it's as simple as going around with a vial. Can we move on? It's grody.
That hot girl smells like a dude killer. Tarkatans were kind of dumb in Deception.
Yeah, just a little bit.
This is basically like, hey, what if we wrote them like a pack of wolves instead of like people? I mean, they all just look exactly the same as Baraka anyway.
I mean, to a certain extent, that remained the truth. Up until I'd say 11, which went a little bit of a ways into giving them more to do, giving them more character, particularly making Baraka seem like intelligent and nobody's fool.
Yeah. It took a while to get there, that's all I'm saying.
But Jade also has that bit part in Sindel's storyline which does not happen, wherein they go to Onaga's tomb and, like, Sindel reads a bunch of hieroglyphics and...
Yes, so to refresh everyone's memories, Onaga, in Deception, was a spirit possessing the body of Reptile. So Onaga's real body, from when he originally died, was still in its tomb, which was a stage in Deadly Alliance. So, Jade and Sindel go to the tomb, and Onaga and Kitana are there to stop them. So, while Jade is fighting Kitana, Sindel reads a spell, which is written on the pillars in the tomb, and that spell returns Onaga's soul to his original body. Forces him to vacate Reptile. And then, as the real Onaga body is coming back to life, she jams her spear in its heart and kills him. And then Kitana is freed from mind control, and they have a heartwarming hug. It's... In light of the way Kitana and Sindel are written in Aftermath, the scene from Deception of the two of them hugging has become a somewhat iconic image on the internet.
It's a beautiful thing, isn't it?
Better times. But another interesting thing to note, actually two interesting notes. So first of all, this is the only ending in the entire game that has 3 pictures. All the other endings only have 2.
I had not actually noticed that.
And, yeah. And, the other thing is that, Reptile, once he is himself again, lying passed out on the ground in the third
Back
picture,
to ninja mode.
is in his Yeah, he's back to MK2 form with the fake skin. He is not the Iguana Man from Deadly Alliance any longer.
Maybe there really was something to be said for that de-evolution theory.
I always kind of wondered, because in Deadly Alliance, the bit of lore that talks about him devolving and the reason why is presented as a theory that Nitara has come up with, because she's hanging out with Reptile in that game. I wonder if her theory was wrong, and Reptile was just devolving because Onaga's ghost was preparing him to take it over. A possibility.
Can't deny that something was really happening to him between between the end of Trilogy and, Deadly Alliance, though. Very gradual.
Well, the crypt art in Deadly Alliance that talks about him devolving sort of presents his MK4 stage as, like, an in-between in the devolving process. But that's not what the lore actually is. The lore actually is that that's what he looks like in MK4 is what he's really looked like all along, and he's wearing fake skin in the arcade game.
I'm okay to call it a retcon. If they want to say he slowly shifted and started changing colors and becoming a bit more white in places and messed up in others, I'm okay with that. I've always liked the idea of him devolving.
I mean, we see in 2 and 3 that he peels the skin off and he has a lizard head under his mask. You can't really ignore it.
All right, but this is the Green Lady's time.
Yeah. So this ending didn't come true because instead Shujinko's and Nightwolf's endings came true, where Onaga is defeated a different way.
Yes, Shujinko kind of takes everyone's power. It's anime as all fuck.
If you sort of go through all the bios and endings and figure out what really happened, it kind of fits together like a puzzle that says everybody happened to be at Onaga's fortress to fight each other at the same time. And while they were all gathered, Shujinko was like, "Got your powers!" And then he went into the boss room and beat Onaga with rainbow punches. And before he could finish him, Nightwolf happened to be in the Netherrealm casting a spell that would suck Onaga's soul out of Reptile's body and trap it in the Netherrealm. So technically Nightwolf beat Onaga. Shujinko just kind of softened him up.
I want to point out that Shujinko, in Shujinko's ending where he's getting everyone's power, Nightwolf is also right there.
Yeah, everyone's in that picture.
It's a visual representation. I don't think you have to go out of your...
Striker and Mocap are also
You don't have to go out of your way to explain why everyone is there. You probably shouldn't. Smoke and Noob Saibot are there. At least Smoke is. I can't see Noob anymore in this thing.
Smoke and Noob might have canonically been there, because Sub-Zero had to find out about them and chase them back to the Nether Room somehow.
Well, we'll talk about that next time.
Yeah, that's in the future. But yeah, so Jade apparently did not succeed in getting her Tarkatan essence on Tanya. Because Tanya was in the next game.
Jade also gets, aside from that, pardon me, let me start again. Now, aside from her story mode shenanigans, Jade very possibly gets one of the best moments in Conquest mode.
I know the one you're talking about. It is quite good.
Now, you have to understand, this is before Armageddon, and this involves Rain.
Yeah. Rain, who has not been seen since Trilogy.
Rain was not been seen since Trilogy. Rain, who, at this point in time, apart from Trilogy and, like, Annihilation, wherein he dies within his first appearance, and one episode of Conquest, maybe 2.
at this point in time, Rain is only slightly more of a character than Chameleon.
And he's a loser at that. Rain is a joke at this point in time. It was not until Armageddon that they actually made any kind of effort into making him a serious character for realsies.
Yeah.
So when you're skulking about in Conquest mode in Edenia, you can find Rain. And here's what Rain tells you. Stop, infidel. I am Rain, faithful servant of Shao Kahn. I am searching for a suitable place from which to plan covert attacks on the Edenian freedom fighters. You will find me a cave, or I will destroy you. Go now. I will await for your return. So, go find Rain a fucking cave, or he'll kill you.
Yeah,
This is Rain. Now, you can go elsewhere, and you can find the Freedom Fighters base, and that's where Jade is. And you talk to her, and she says, Rain searches for a hiding place, does he? I am Jade, leader of Edenia's Freedom Fighters. We have been searching for the Outworld ninja Rain, but he had eluded us, until now. Tell him about this cave. We will ambush him when he arrives. So then you go back to Rain. Where is it? Right over here. You have found a cave to the east? Excellent. I will go there at once. As payment for your assistance, I will spare your life. Then he runs off. And Shujinko meditates a bit, and
then you go back to where you met
Then
Jade.
you go back to the cave. To the cave. Rain is fucking dead on the floor. And Jade's standing over his body.
He could just be knocked out. But...
He could be. For a ninja, he is not very stealthy. I heard him as he entered and defeated him before he knew what had happened. Edenia will remember your assistance. Take these coins, with our thanks. The Saga of Jade and Rain. You were talking about how, like, Jade and Tanya should have been in games together. You know, I would have to go back and revisit Rain and Jade's dialogue in 11. I'm sure it's entertaining, but I don't remember any of it right now.
Yeah, I can't remember anything that particularly stuck out. You would think that they'd have some good interaction.
They should. They really should.
While we're on the subject of Jade in Conquest mode, Jade happens to be at the center of one of the bigger plot holes in Deception Conquest. So there's a main story mission where you're looking for the Outworld Kamidogu. And you go to the Living Forest to get it. And you run into Jade there. And Jade is also looking for the Kamidogu. And she says that she's been sent by Queen Sindel to retrieve it to keep it out of Shao Kahn's hands.
Oh, man.
Now, the reason this is a plot hole is because at this point in the timeline, you're still pre-MK1. The Edenia has not been freed, and Sindel is currently dead. Jade works for Shao Kahn at this point in time.
Conquest mode, man. You really, really, really gotta narrow that field of vision to make it make sense. And I mean,
yeah, there are some problems.
Oi. Last little Jade tidbits in Deception I can think about covering for now. Her outfits.
Yeah, this was, obviously, since it was her first appearance since the arcade era, it would be her first time getting unique costumes. Her primary is just kind of like I don't know, I would call it Amazonian.
Yeah, I think that this is, a lot of people describe Jade as Amazonian, and I think that this is the start of it.
Yeah.
It's got this...
It's just kind of two sashes in a V across her chest, and then one hanging loosely over her crotch. It's almost Slave Leia from Return of the Jedi.
I'd call the definition of, like, Amazonian, quote-unquote, skimpy, quasi-fashionable, moderately armored, not quite fan-servicey, but almost there.
Yeah, it's like a skimpy warrior woman from a tribal culture, I guess is what I would define Amazonian as.
Yeah, kind of.
You know, it's sort of like the fucking Wonder Woman. Like the people of Themyscira.
Also unmasked for the first time anywhere ever.
Yes, that's true. She didn't even have any fatalities where she'd take her mask off, because she didn't do, like, Kitana's Kiss of Death in the previous games or anything like that. I mean, not that you would expect her to have anything special for a mouth, because she's not a monster like Melina, but...
No, I feel like even at this point in time, I think that they had firmly established that the Kisses of Death weren't something they were going to give to everyone, you know? You've already kind of subverted it with the fact that Melina takes off her mask and fucking eats you. Where do you really go from there?
Yeah.
Her alternate is essentially the UMK3 outfit, with a couple of subtle differences.
Yeah, they added some garter belts to her boots, and gave her, instead of like that tight, like, librarian bun that was always... I've never liked that hairstyle.
Out of all three characters, I've always thought the bun worked on Jade the best. When I think of Kitana, I think of the MK2. I think of the MK2 hair. When I think of Melina, I go to the ponytail. And when I think of Jade, I go to the bun. And I'm 100% certain that I can trace all that back to Shaolin Monks.
I could see that. The thing is, I actually... So the Deception alternate costume, it gives her a pair of pigtails with, like, they're sort of wrapped into buns at the top, and then the pigtails hang down from them. It's called ox horns. It's sort of like what Chun-Li does with her hair. I actually think... this is what I think of when I think of Jade. This is my favorite Jade costume.
It is really good, yeah.
Yeah, I think the UMK3 outfit, especially with that hairstyle, seems to suit her best. Like... When I think of Kitana, and I know I'm probably in a minority on this, I think of the purple one from Deadly Alliance. Like, I wish it was blue. It should be blue. In the concept art, it's blue. But I think of that one because, like, all of the chiffon material, all the fishnet parts, it sort of makes her look more classy and elegant. And it... Like, of the three, she has the most regal bearing, which makes sense. And then, like, Melina tends to have, like, the really skimpy outfits that show the most skin and are just, like, barely hanging on to her. Or sometimes, like, in the NRS era, she has a lot of outfits that look like they're made out of scraps of leather that have been scavenged and stitched together and that kind of thing. So that really leaves, like, Jade doesn't necessarily have a unique aesthetic of her own, so it's kind of... So I default to thinking of her in the UMK3 outfit.
I suppose I kind of do as well. I'll have to give it a bit of thought to see, by the end of this episode, what I think my favorite Jade outfit is. I do tend to default to UMK3 quite a bit.
Yeah.
But this is a good variation on it.
Yeah. I think when I think of that outfit, I think of this version of it, because there's something about. So starting with this game and going into MK9, they started adding these little details specific to Jade, where she would have, like, golden rings holding pieces of clothing together, and she would have actual, like, green gemstones along her armbands and knee pads and things like that. And that's where all this started, so...
I don't mind a little bit of it, but yeah, less is more.
Yeah, so like the garter belts on the boots, you could... Well, that's just weird lingerie sexiness, you know,
I think that's it.
Say.
Like, I think that's it, right? The garters throw me off, and so do the ox bows. This is close to being a great outfit, but, like, just... it holds me back a little bit.
Like, I get it. But I like those, because it gets those gold rings in there. And also, I just think the oxhorn pigtails look good. I think that's her best hairstyle. I don't know. Like when I think of the bun, first of all, the only time I've liked the bun is on Kitana in Shaolin Monks because she had loose bangs. Like when it's all pulled back tight, like it is in Ultimate MK3, I think of like a fucking Victorian school marm, and it just makes me like uncomfortable. It's way too stick up your ass of a hairstyle for somebody in a Mortal Kombat game to be wearing.
I don't know. I think I also kind of like it because it seems all business, you know. Not gonna let like the hair blow in my face in the middle of a fight.
I mean, I could maybe see it on Sonya, but I associate the female ninjas with their femininity a little more than that.
You know what though?
Like there is an element of like, I don't know, call it Edenian culture maybe. I feel like there's a character reason they dress the way they do.
You know, it's also tough for me because I actually really, really do like the primary as well. Like, I love that long, like, ankle-length loincloth. It's really visually striking. It's a contrast to, like, oh no, almost nothing else. And it doesn't feel fan servicey. It just feels, like you were saying, Amazonian. It's hard for me to choose which one I like more. This game probably does have one of my favorite Jade outfits. I don't know what my favorite one is.
Yeah, I mean, I'm saying the UMK3 one, the alternate, is my favorite, but I do like the primary too.
I can't decide. Anyway.
And I think, like, I don't know, like the MK9 version feels like a lesser attempt at combining the two. Like, it just feels like not as good as either one. That's kind of always been my problem with that one. And then in 11 she has, I don't know, she's trying to dress like Robin Hood or something now. I don't quite, like, I get why there's a hood on it, because
the 9-1 crosses like into stripper territory, and I don't like it. We'll get there. So, moving on from Mortal Kombat Deception, we have Mortal Kombat Shaolin Monks. And Jade's appearance therein.
The alleged attempt to retell MK2. Except in this version, the first time we see her, she gets stabbed in the eyes with Melina's size and fucking dies.
You went right to the good part, god damn it!
Well, what else did she fucking do?
I mean, we could talk about her outfit, just the point where she comes in to help save Kitana after, like, she's being chased by Liu and Kung Lao. But I suppose we could also just do that, you know. You fight them, it's a 2-on-3 battle, and you trap them in these little traps and pull gadgets to injure them, and at the end of the fight, that's just what Liu does. Just Jade gets knocked down, and so does Melina, and Liu grabs her size, and the warrior monk who once would never take a human life stabs her in the fucking eye sockets.
Sure fucking does.
Straight up. Wow.
So obviously, Shaolin Monks has a mechanic where every boss fight has to end in a fatality.
And Jade was our lucky winner.
It occurs to me how odd it is that Melina canonically dies in MK2 is in fact the only character who for sure dies in MK2.
And this fucking game, manages to murder so many people who were supposed to live through that, and she gets off scot-free.
It kills literally every villain except Melina. And the opportunity was right fucking there, but I guess if you kill her there, they did a thing in a later level where there's a secret path and a second Kitana and Melina boss fight. I guess if they'd killed her in the first fight, you couldn't have the hidden secret second one. That could have been a Jade fight!
Exactly! You know, if you're new to this...
It even happens in the living forest, where Jade is known to hide in the trees.
You know, if you're new to this series, relatively, when I say new, I really mean stretching back to MK9, because that's our definition of new, because we're old. Just so you people know, that shit was fucking weird and unacceptable back in the day. This is not some sort of modern look back at a thing we thought was flawless back then. No, this game was weird off the bat. We were promised a retelling.
As soon as it launched, they were the Midway guys were like having chat room sessions to promote the game with Mortal Kombat Online, and people kept asking, "How the fuck is this supposed to be canon?" And eventually, they just had to admit after like 3 or 4 chats that I guess it's not.
Yeah, at first they were like, well, look at it as a what-if scenario. Then they were like, okay, fine, sure, it's not canon.
Well, the first thing they tried to say is that the fatalities aren't actually part of the story. But that doesn't hold up because the plot of Shaolin Monks is Shao Kahn tells you at the end, Shang Tsung wanted you to kill all of my lieutenants so that he could steal their souls and get more powerful.
Remember, your presence here is unwanted, uninvited.
Yeah, that's the plot of MK2.
Never ceases to be funny. But, Jade. I like Shaolin Monk's Jade's outfit. It's not the best thing she ever had, but it's neat. I like the additional black.
She's wearing like her outfit is based on like a Chinese dress, and she's like more Oriental themed than Kitana and Melina's costumes are.
You know,
She's got like these you know the armor Sub-Zero is wearing in 9, where it's got like these Chinese lion dragon carvings in it?
Yep.
She's got that for some reason. Like on one shoulder pad and her belt. She got like a big, it almost looks like stone rather than metal.
You know, this wouldn't be the first time that they gave her a dragon motif, but we'll get to that in a little bit. She's also got the long loincloth that she's got in one of the Deception outfits.
Yeah.
Got like she's got one shoulder pad too. It's like a roaring lion.
Yeah. Her outfit seems almost like it's more based on Chun-Li than actual Jade.
And one thigh armor pad. Why just one? Nobody knows, but hey, it's nice. It's eye-catching.
Asymmetry was they were big fans of that when they were designing her and Melina.
Yeah. I don't hate it, but she's had
weird.
Better.
Every character in Shaolin Monks has a costume design that looks like their old outfit, but like fancier. Melina and Jade just straight up got new shit. They're the only ones. I guess technically Sonya, because she has like camo pants and a jacket instead of green pants and a tank top.
For the most part, though, Shaolin Monks did okay in terms of outfits and.
You know, I have often said, costume-wise, Shaolin Monks for most of the characters is my favorite game.
It's a highlight, definitely. So she's also got a fatality. Actually, it's a combined fatality with Melina. If you fuck up and lose the fights.
That's true. If you lose the boss fights, they had fatalities where you die.
And Jade and Melina's was like you get knocked down, and Melina like throws a couple of sais into your wrists, pinning you to the ground. And the camera shifts to like Jade from like, I guess, a perspective from above the victim, and she twirls the staff around,
leaps into the sky, and it goes into first person as she comes down on you. Cut to black.
Yeah, basically just crushes her head with the staff as her pinned to the ground.
Yeah.
It's a fun little fight. Rest in peace, Jade.
It was one of the more creative boss fights because there was this weird mechanic where you're always trying to keep somebody out of the fight so you're not fighting 3 girls at once. So like for the first half of the fight, you're trying to keep Kitana inside this weird magic bubble that's supposed to break the mind control on her. This bubble that's created by beams being shot out of the eyes of gargoyles that are holding the stage up.
There were 3 traps there. There was like the bubble, and there was like a little fire pit, and I think the one Jade gets trapped in is like there's just a little spike area, and you can like if you knock her into
come
it
out of the ground. It's once Kitana, once trying to keep Kitana in the bubble doesn't work anymore, and you're fighting 3 at once. When you get Melina or Jade down to a certain amount of health, they will magically tumble into the section of the stage that has the trap.
They just kind of like go flying backwards into it, and they're stunned for a second.
And this cage would come up, trapping them in that area, and then you'd have to do a test your might to pull a lever, and the lever would set Melina on fire or shoot spikes out of the ground to stab Jade.
And they don't touch you at all while you're trying to test your might thing. They just let you do it. It's just instantaneous. Oh, can you do it? Can you do it? Yay! There we go. I'm sorry, sister. That had to hurt.
It's like the rule in a kung fu movie where if you're surrounded by guys, they have to come at you one at a time. Except the lever counts as a guy.
I
don't attack him. The lever's gonna get him. He's busy. Let's let this play out.
If I remember right, it wasn't possible to play as her or Melina in the versus mode, though.
No. The versus mode weirdly only had 8 of the 12 MK2 characters who were playable in actual MK2. You couldn't be Raiden or Shang or Melina.
Well, Smoke probably doesn't count because he's just a riddle giver.
Yeah, no, Smoke wasn't playable. Ermac wasn't playable. It was Liu Kang, Kung Lao, Scorpion, Sub-Zero, because those are the ones you could play in story mode. And then it was also Johnny,
Kitana,
Baraka, and
was it Jax?
No, I think you couldn't play as Jax. Jax was the 4th one you couldn't play.
Damn shame.
Yeah, it was Johnny, Kitana, Baraka, Reptile.
Ah.
That's the last one, yeah.
It was a fun little versus mode. Probably the closest that MK ever got to actually feeling like Smash Brothers or something.
Well, I always compared it directly to the game Power Stone from the Dreamcast.
Also very true.
Because it had that isometric running around in a 3D space, and there were all these like goofy power-ups to pick up. There was also Shaolin Monks versus mode was the first time an MK game had quotes and taunts at the beginning and end of each fight.
That's true, yeah.
Sub-Zero didn't talk. Instead, he just said Honen Kanjiri. He didn't have lines.
I guess that's it for Shaolin Monks. That's it for Jade there.
Jade wasn't in it much.
Got stabbed in the face. Have a nice day.
My favorite thing is, like, Kitana is, as you would expect, upset. You killed my best friend! But the next time you see her, she's completely forgotten about it. And by the end of that game, which takes place over the course of a couple hours, maybe? She's like, yeah, Liu Kang, what's up?
Jade who?
Bow chicka bow wow. Jade who?
So Armageddon, she didn't have shit to do in.
Mm-mm. No, she was, I mean, everybody was in Armageddon, but...
But no, like, apart from picking up one of her relics, which I forget, was like her staff or her glaive or something.
I believe
in Conquest.
Her relic was one of those bracelets with the green gems in it.
Okay.
Yeah. But
she has no part in Conquest, no part in the overall story, didn't have a bio.
The plot of MK Armageddon revolves around something that's going to happen in Edenia. But Kitana, Jade, and Sindel have not a single fucking thing to do with the plot.
I guess you can assume that they're backing their girl up. I don't know.
Well, here's the thing. Like, once everybody, well, not everybody, but once a few characters got bios on the website, we at least got an idea of what Kitana was up to, because, like, Liu Kang's ghost was still lingering around, and she was trying to help him get his body back, and she went to Nightwolf for help, because he's got ghost powers.
Yeah.
But, Jade and Sindel apparently have no input on the fact that, the end of the universe is going to happen in their backyard.
But if she wins... Defeated, Blaze transferred godlike power to Jade and instructed her to make true that which she most desired. As if controlled by some divine force, she let out a tremendous shriek that split open the pyramid. As she inhaled, the forces of darkness were sucked inside the ancient structure. It then resealed itself, trapping them there for eternity. Jade was celebrated as a hero, and the pyramid stood as a reminder to those who would threaten Edenia.
So she just sucked all the bad guys inside the pyramid.
Yes.
They're still alive, but they're in a pyramid.
She screamed the pyramid open, then inhaled, and they all went into it. God, I hate these endings so much.
These are not good.
This was so bad I forgot about it. Christ.
Yeah, this one is like literal nothing.
Seriously.
Like, I joke all the time about how nothing these endings are, but this is like the most nothing I've heard yet.
Strong girl in green protects Edenia. Game over.
It's,
That's it. That's all there is to it.
It sure is.
There are a select few that have some well thought out little ideas, but this was not one of them.
Nope, not so much.
So, that's it for the original timeline, Jade.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yep.
Now, to NRS's credit, I think they tried with her a little bit this past little while.
They certainly wanted to give her more of a backstory.
Yes.
And I guess more of a character outside of being just Kitana's best friend when you get to 11, but...
She's done better for herself in that regard than Smoke has, I think.
Yeah. But that's only because they refuse to really, like, let Smoke be a robot and deal with it, you know?
They just don't know what to do with that guy, but we'll get there.
Yeah.
So what did they give her for a bio? For 9. An assassin for Shao Kahn, Jade has earned a reputation as an agile and stealthy warrior. Her family was Edenian nobility and served the Emperor once he conquered their realm, giving Jade to him as tribute when she was a child. After years of rigorous training in the art of combat, Shao Kahn awarded her the position of bodyguard to Princess Kitana. Over the centuries, she and Kitana have become close friends, which makes Jade's secret orders from Shao Kahn painful to accept. Should Kitana's loyalty falter, Jade must kill her friend. We are just hyper-condensing all of her MK3 story into, if she fucks up, kill her.
Yeah.
Not the best start of it. But...
Well, the relevant point is the beginning.
Yeah, this is where they start giving her some form of history, apart from just being Kitana's bud.
Yeah. So her parents sold her to Shao Kahn in exchange for, like, please don't take away our property and our castle and stuff, Mr. Just conquered our realm.
As a tribute.
As a tribute, yes. So, you and I have debated exactly what
her relationship to Shao Kahn is, how she lived, what kind of scenario, what kind of circumstances she would have grown up in.
My interpretation, when you buy a person, they are a slave now.
That's one way of looking at it. Mine is this. Kitana and Jade were obviously very close friends growing up. Shao Kahn, the way that we've always looked at him, the way that, was probably intended to be in the first place, loved his daughter.
Sure.
And I have to imagine that she wouldn't be particularly pleased to have her friend living in squalor. I've never seen Jade as being like the Cinderella type or whatever, like cleaning floors. I don't think she's got the Imperial suite, but I don't think she's sleeping in the stables either. I think she's got her own decent setup.
So that point of view does work well with the rest of the NRS timeline information that Jade's specific job is Kitana's bodyguard. My thing is, that was not her job in the old timeline. In the old timeline, I mean, they never really specified, but the implication that she, you know, is a hidden character with these skills that are greater than Kitana's and Melina's seem to be when you fight her in gameplay, and that, you know, she dresses like them. The implication I always got was that Jade was also an assassin, like the two of them. That they were a team, and Jade was perhaps the one who was the best of the three, particularly at stealth, which is why she's a hidden character, and sometimes you don't see her with the other two. If they were sent out on missions together, Jade would be the one who scouts ahead, or who, you know, does the espionage things and is good at not being seen. And
I think a definite theme, I think, in the NRS timeline is, are these two people close together? Yes. Does one have status? Yes. Are they commonly associated with each other? Yeah, usually. Okay, that's your bodyguard.
That's the NRS timeline throws the role bodyguard on people whenever it doesn't know what to do with them. Like, oh, Kintaro is now Shao Kahn's bodyguard. Like, the Emperor needs one? And then there's all the fuzziness about what point in time Shiva was Sindel's bodyguard, and
that's going to be a fun retro.
I don't know.
The more I think about like that, oh man.
To me, Jade was an elite assassin, and that whatever her friendship with Kitana formed not because like she was always, you know, with her and watching her, but because they were always together on missions.
Yeah.
So I imagine, and here's the other thing, is that if Jade is bought from her parents by Shao Kahn and is treated similarly to how Kitana is treated, that adds to the idea that NRS era Shao Kahn just collects girls and raises a whole horde of daughters. Like, because that's what Scarlet is now. Like, in 11, now that she's this fucking orphan that he randomly decided to just adopt off the streets. Like, why can't it just be Kitana and Melina, and these other girls that he's picked up are fucking tools and weapons? Why do they all have to be treated like he's raising a fucking Brady Bunch? It's too many. It's too fucking many. And that's why the idea that Jade would have had an upbringing closer to slavery makes more sense to me.
I can't see Kitana not taking exception to that in one timeline or another. It doesn't work for me. She wouldn't stand for it. And if Shao Kahn,
on what Kitana is aware
Shao Kahn
of.
loves this girl he's taken as his daughter, who believes that's her father, wants to make her happy. Why is my best friend scrubbing toilets? You know,
I'm not saying it was literally like Cinderella being forced to clean the place by her evil stepmother. I'm just saying, like, whatever happened to Jade once she became Shao Kahn's property is not what you would describe as having free will or a happy upbringing. And the reason this is important to me is for two reasons. The first is that Sean Kittleson has tried to paint the picture that the Dream Lady from the MK9 ending is somehow Jade's mom, and that Jade's mom is in fact a good person who would be there looking out for her if not for circumstances. No, her parents are bad fucking people. They sold their child to Shao Kahn. No matter how Kahn raised her, that's a bad thing to do. And the reason they did it was to keep their money and political power. They're fucking scumbags, and they should be treated as such.
Let me just double check her 11 bio for a second.
Yeah, her 11 bio.
It's so hard to find. It's so hard to find them on the select screen when half of everyone is gray.
So 11 didn't have bios. I mean, the website did. It's kind of like Armageddon again. But her bio on 11's website pretty much repeats what it was said in 9, just that her parents gave her to Shao Kahn to keep their fucking castle, or whatever.
Traded her to Shao Kahn as a child.
Yeah.
Though he was the only parent and master she ever knew, Jade refused his orders.
That phrase, he was the only parent she... No, okay, not parent. Do not use that word in this relationship. Fucking...
We have to do a series of Flash videos. Call them Shao Kahn's Orphanage. It would be a great sitcom.
I hate it.
You love it.
Fucking hate it.
You love it.
Anyway,
it's animated like My Little Pony Razor. That's what it looks like. Very popular with the tween crowd.
That'll get a few hits on YouTube. What the second point, the second reason it bothers me is because, so obviously MK9 and 11 are the only two games where Jade has a voice and a personality. Since 9 came out, it has always bothered me that their choice for how to characterize Jade always felt very lazy. She's not very well developed, and the personality she does seem to have feels to me like a stereotype that she's just the generic sassy black girl. Cause all she seems to do, dialogue-wise, the whole game in 9 is be cocky. Like, that's her one note. And she has this, like, catchphrase. She calls everything too easy, and she says it so many times that it becomes like a Pokemon saying their name. It's like the only 2 words she knows. I fucking hated that. Drove me insane back in 2011.
Yeah.
And I think that if you were actually trying to, like, give this character a 3-dimensional personality, sort like deep dive into their psychology, figure out, based on their backstory, how they would act and how you could use that to grow the character. And tell a story that makes sense and has, like, an arc where they develop. My starting point for MK2 and 3 Jade would be to depict her as someone shy and meek because she was raised in Shao Kahn's castle to be a servant, and whether you want to picture that servant as like a lowly slave or a warrior,
a little bit of both.
The same deal as like if you were raised by the Lin Kuei or any other like cult-like upbringing that involved a lot of learning to fight and being beaten and trained, and you know.
We're talking about basically the same reason that I hate Kung Lao's personality now these days. There's no reason a Shaolin monk should fucking act the way he does now. It doesn't make any sense. So I get where you're coming from. Like Jade having the upbringing that you figure she has, the personality that she's got, the sassiness, it doesn't really work.
Right. Well, I'm saying, like, the other reason that this is what would make sense to me is if you go back to her first bio in UMK3, where it was difficult for her to choose between loyalty to Shao Kahn and siding with her best friend Kitana and betraying Kahn. The only way that choice is difficult, if she really cares about Kitana, is if she has something to lose by turning on Khan, meaning that she's genuinely afraid of what will happen if she becomes a traitor.
Well...
Which, an exceptionally confident and brave person would not have that fucking problem.
No. I have always maintained, though, that she should be afraid of turning on Khan, not just because she's afraid of him, but because... What? Like, like we were talking about earlier, I tend to think that she lived a decent life under him, and I've always wanted there to be someone who's actually loyal to the guy.
I get that.
Out of choice. You know?
But my point is, for her to be indecisive, which is the basis of her UMK3 story, for it to be a difficult choice that she can't make right away, that it takes time for her to get to, like, where, oh, Reptile's gonna kill you, well, that's my breaking point. For that to happen, she can't be a confident person, because confident people make snap decisions. If you start her as someone who knows their place, their lowly rank, and doesn't, speak up much and is, like, kind of meek or shy, then you can build her bravery and make her becoming more courageous and more willing to fight against the evils that she has served for most of her life. That could be her arc. That's what develops. And now she's a full fucking character and not just, a one-dimensional sidekick.
This might go back to the MK9 angle where it wasn't a choice at all, where she just helped Kitana, basically.
Yeah, see, that's what drives me crazy.
Little details. You lose the lowest cards in the house, and they all come stumbling down.
I mean, another part of my point here is, because Jade doesn't have an arc in the way NRS characterizes her, if you also look at the events of Smoke's chapter and her chapter in story mode, nothing actually happens in either one. The story doesn't move forward. So if you're not using their chapters to develop their character, and you're not using their chapters to move the story, those are fucking filler and you could cut them.
Looking down through the script.
Those are I've checked. Those are the only two chapters in the entire game that don't either serve to establish a personality or move the plot forward. Oh, it was Smokes. You could argue that it establishes personality. I'm still not clear whether it was on purpose that they wanted to make him kind of a dumb guy who's always like too eager to fight and keeps getting into misunderstandings, or if that was just kind of, that versus DC style writing where, okay, well, the characters need to be dumb so a fight scene can happen.
Yeah, seriously. But in her MK9 chapter, she just basically tries to free Kitana, gets interrupted.
Yeah, the plot of her chapter is that before her chapter starts, Kitana's locked up. She spends her chapter trying to free Kitana, failing, and going to Raiden for help. And then in the next chapter, which is Kung Lao's, is when Kitana is rescued. Jade literally does nothing.
Beats up Smoke. Says she doesn't want to do it. Sad.
That's my problem. It's a filler chapter, and it didn't have to be. It could have been a fucking characterization chapter if they'd done the her and Reptile chasing down Kitana stuff.
What are you gonna do?
So anyway.
I mean, what the hell else happens with her after that? Hang on, I'm just gonna go forward through this.
She spends the rest of the game just standing around the church in her alt costume, which is kind of based on her Deception one. I find it interesting, actually, in the MK3 scenes of 9, when we see Jade hanging out with the others in the church, her staff is her Deception staff, but she doesn't have it in gameplay. It's cutscene only.
And yes, I've checked through the script, and after that bit, she is done doing anything except for getting killed by Sindel by having her stomach ripped out.
She gets her fucking...
or something.
Her spleen or liver or whatever the fuck it was.
It's a giant glob of something. R.I.P.
That's a shame. And then, she definitely does show up among the rest of the zombies when Raiden goes to the Netherrealm.
Yep, she's there.
Which will be important when we get to the next game. But that's the end of her story in 9, which brings us to her arcade ending.
Yes. The biggest fucking waste of time. Remember being intrigued by angles you thought were gonna go somewhere?
Remember when arcade endings might have meant something at all? Instead of having no purpose to exist.
This one's really unique in that respect because they dragged it out over 2. We really thought this was going to lead to something.
Oh yeah. This one they follow through with in X and then drop in 11. See, there's a reason for that. The writers changed. Brian Shard is the one who comes up with this Jade ending stuff. And he's gone in 11. Sean Kittleson and Dom Chiancholo were like, we don't know what he was doing. We got a different thing.
And it's really infuriating because, those of us who really didn't particularly care for the way that this timeline was going, this was a beacon of hope.
Yeah. Her ending is the escape hatch for the new timeline if it doesn't work out.
Shao Kahn was defeated, but the intense battle rendered Jade unconscious. She slipped into a dreamlike state and found herself walking in an unknown realm. As she explored, her surroundings shifted and changed. Jade approached a lone figure who stood in the distance, a shimmering woman. She did not reveal her name, but spoke with an air of regal authority. Through the minds of countless mortals, the woman who had been watching events as they unfolded over the centuries. She informed Jade that Shao Kahn's death was an outcome that must be reimagined. Jade was defenseless as the woman possessed her body and emerged in the waking world. Enter the Dream Lady.
Yes, the Dream Lady, as we've come to call her because we have no official name for her, and she seems to be connected to the realm of dreams, and has the ability to see people's dreams and to possess them. I have seen speculation about how this person could be a character who already exists in the MK universe, and all of those suggestions are stupid and do not fit. The most common one you will see is that she's Delia.
No.
But
they look nothing alike.
This lady... Yeah, they do look nothing alike. Delia, for starters, the most significant part of Delia's character design is that she wears a hood that covers her eyes because in Greek mythology, oracles were blind. They could see the future, but they couldn't see the present. So if your eyes aren't covered, you're not fucking Delia. Second, the Dream Lady has blue skin. I don't know why people keep trying to ignore this. There are pictures. You can see them with your eyes.
The initial thought I first had upon seeing her back in the day was, is this a really heavy reimagining of Chameleon? But no. It's blue or it's green or it's almost luminous. She's glowing basically.
Yeah, she is definitely a new character. Now here's the connection to MKX. So Jade is not only not in MKX, she's the only one who became a Revenant who does not appear in the cutscenes. Like the other Revenants who aren't in the game are at least NPCs in the cutscenes, like Stryker and Cabal. We still see them in the game somewhere. Jade is specifically the only one who is missing. And we find out in Kitana's arcade ending in that game that the reason Jade does not appear as a revenant is because the Dream Lady has indeed possessed her, and is now possessed. Dream Lady Jade frees Kitana from being a revenant, and the two of them plan to fix the timeline and undo what Raiden did in MK9.
To describe it a little bit, the ending basically says Kitana found herself walking the streets of a magnificent, shining city. Edenia freed from Outworld, and her as its beautiful queen. This was the timeline unaltered by Raiden. Earthrealm had been destroyed by Shao Kahn, but Kitana had survived Armageddon and united the other realms to destroy him. Long-lasting peace was the result. Kitana woke from this vision to find herself in the Netherrealm. She was not the queen of Edenia, but a revenant of Hell, and she hated Raiden for it. And with that last couple of sentences, you see that Jade, in a very ghostly form, is standing behind Kitana in the Netherrealm, and Kitana's eyes are glowing green. Jade basically wakes her up, or shows her this vision of what could have been. So presumably this is all part of the plan to undo Shao Kahn's destruction that was alluded to in 9. But, no. According to Sean Kittleson, Dream Lady is Jade's mom. Okay.
Which does not make any fucking sense.
Christ.
So, here's the other thing. Obviously, the Dream Lady is a character who wants to undo or reboot aspects of time travel in the MK universe. She's also a female character. It would be very, very easy to see how the Dream Lady character might have been the inspiration for Kronika and or Cetrion in 11. But it seems to be the case that no, it's just a coincidence how similar they are. And also, obviously, Kronika and Cetrion are villains, whereas what the Dream Lady wants... I don't know if everybody would agree that makes her a good guy character, but I certainly agree with what she wants. And you could go back to old episodes of the Nethercast, and it is consistent. Up until the release of the game, I was constantly on the side of Kronika because I thought she was gonna fix this fucking bullshit.
Nope. Abandoned plot threads ahoy.
Yeah, that's a shame.
So, Jade appears in the background of MKX
so anyway,
Kitana's ending, and Kitana has her staff in gameplay. It's called a morning variation.
Kitana has the staff and the glaive. There is one thing I liked about the mournful variation, is that when Kitana does the blazing nitro kick, she uses the pole to, like, pole vault forward in the animation.
Yeah, that is pretty cool.
I wish Jade did that.
Yeah.
I think that adds something to it.
I remember before X came out and, seeing the morning variation, it was like, wow, what's happening? Kitana actually is alive somehow? She's actually mourning her best friend who's still dead? What's going on? What could be occurring? This is highly interesting. Why are Kung Lao and Liu Kang old? Doesn't matter.
No, it has nothing to do with anything. There's no story.
Trickery and non-canon.
And obviously, I've said this a million times. My biggest problem with the MKX variations is so many of them alluded to story ideas that were not picked up at all. Like, the example I always give is Possessed Kenshi. Just fuck it. Let's put everything interesting in the game in the non-canon box.
This same thing as Goro having Kentaro's moves. It's a way to have the character in there for quote unquote quasi gameplay purposes.
Well, that's the other problem with Mournful, is that there has been a habit out of the past 4 Mortal Kombat titles, 3 of them feature Kitana using another female ninja's moves. because when they're trying to expand her moveset, they don't know what the fuck to do with her. So they just graft somebody else's shit on there. She had Melina's ball roll in Versus DCU. She has Mournful in X. And she has Size in 11. Boy, that was real forward thinking. That plan to not put Melina in the game, and then.
I mean, you know, and I know it's a matter of roster safety. She's always going to be there no matter what, and everyone else is expendable. Just fodder for movesets.
Well, that's just it. Kitana is no more or less expendable than Melina at this point, because Kitana wasn't in Deception.
Yeah, but you know...
Kitana wasn't in Vanilla 3. Kitana wasn't in Vanilla 4.
That's decades ago, though, now man. Yeah. We don't live in that era anymore, you know? You're going to get the MK1 and MK2 cast in every fucking game, and you're going to like it. Plus or minus one or two people.
If they can recognize that they're going to put Kitana in every game, maybe they should wake the fuck up and recognize they're going to put Melina in every game, too.
How adventurous.
Maybe there are more interesting things you could think to do with Kitana, with her fucking fans, and her poison kissing, and her manipulation of the element of wind, you know, whatever the pretty kick is. There are more things you could do with her than just running out of ideas, shrugging your shoulders, and giving her someone else's moves.
Shall we move on to 11?
Yes.
Yes, we should.
So after Jade was conspicuous by her absence, the only Revenant not in X, from the very moment 11 starts, the first chapter is just, yeah, she's there and she's a Revenant, and we're supposed to pretend she was there all along. There's nothing weird about her. She's just like all the others.
You know, thinking back on it, I can't remember too much of what she actually does in the main story.
She, the same things Revenant Cabal does.
I know that human Kitana and Jade have a conversation. I remember that.
Yes, there's quite a bit of human Jade. Living Jade.
I guess that's the one that matters.
Yeah. So Living Jade, who comes back from the MK2-ish part of 9 with the rest of the time travelers, proceeds to almost immediately reveal that, hey, I know I'm a character that's been around for 30 years and you thought you knew everything about me, but secretly, off camera, I've been in love with Kotal Khan the whole time.
You know what, man? People have feelings about that. And I do not care. I just really couldn't give a shit. Half of it is people who are hoping she was gay, and I understand that. She could still be bi. At least take that as a consolation.
Everybody from Edeni is bisexual. Let's not pretend otherwise.
Other people hate it because it's just a way to shoehole Kotal into the story by attaching him to an already beloved character that has original series cred. I also don't give a shit about that.
I mean, I don't really care about those two aspects of it either, but I do have problems with the relationship for other reasons. The first reason being that they really don't have any on-screen chemistry. It didn't work.
No, they didn't, but, you know, in terms of personalities, I can kind of see how it would. If the script were written by, I don't know.
It feels like the pairing was devised solely because they're both brown-skinned people who wear a lot of green.
You think?
I think it's literally the same logic as that thing I complained about before, where people ship Sub-Zero with Kitana because they're both blue ninjas.
I'll be a bit generous, and I'll say that I think it's because they're both tough people, you know?
I think it's the technical term for a ship that makes no fucking sense based on some arbitrary criteria, like, oh, they both wear the same color, is a crack ship. And that's what Kotal and Jade is to me.
I don't care about it enough one way or another to give it much attention, and no one really should.
that fact alone, just would make me kind of, meh, I'm not interested in this. The part that bothers me is that it's used to justify a retcon to Kotal's backstory that I really don't like. So, when Kotal was introduced in MKX, the comic proceeded to explain that the reason he and Reptile are so close is because Kotal was around during MK3, just off-screen. You know, he was another captain of an extermination squad that we just didn't happen to see, which is fine. Makes perfect sense. And at some point during 2 or 3, he was ordered to execute Reptile because Reptile kept failing in tournaments and losing fights. And Kotal said, no, I'm not going to kill him. The problem is, this guy's a great spy, and you keep using him as a frontline soldier, and that doesn't work. I'm going to keep him around and use him the way you're supposed to use him. That's one of the best parts of Kotal Khan to me. That's one of my favorite Kotal-related scenes in anything Mortal Kombat.
That was the thing that made us look forward to Kotal in the game, that he turned out to be a douche.
Yes, yes. The problem is, MK11 introduces a retcon that says the reason Kotal Khan was off-screen during 1 through 3, or 9, is because before MK1 started, Shao Kahn was like, I don't trust him, I think he's gonna try to overthrow me, and threw him in the dungeon. And by the dungeon, I mean he gave him to Shang to experiment on in the flesh pits? And then, after 9, when Shao Kahn was killed, Melina, for no reason, lets him out of the flesh pits and appoints him her #1 advisor. This guy who her dad didn't trust. And therefore, because we now have this supposed reason for why Kotal wouldn't have been around during, like, the events of the old timeline or MK9, that's supposed to explain why this is the first time we're ever hearing about him and Jade having a thing together. Because if he had been around during, for example, the old timeline, then perhaps that would have made it a harder choice for Jade to choose Edenia over Outworld. Because, hey, my boyfriend's in this realm, I'm not going to go over there? It seems like a bizarre sidestep that doesn't fit. Like, the idea is, oh, everything we know about Jade isn't interfered with because she thought Kotal was dead. First of all, it doesn't make sense for Kotal to have been thrown in the dungeon the way he was. It made more sense if he was around during MK1 through 3 and just off-screen. And second, it would be more interesting if we actually got to see Jade, you know, choose between her boyfriend and her home realm. That's just where I fall on it. I
don't know. I don't think everything needs to be tinged in drama. They can just be casually boning. It's just not important to me.
And if she just dumped him to go to Edenia when Edenia came back, sure. But I would like that to be what it actually is, and not actually Kotal's in the dungeon. Because Kotal being in the dungeon doesn't make any fucking sense.
But you have to explain why he wasn't around in the original games. He's very important. Fuck it.
You know how they explained how Devora wasn't around in the original games?
No, don't care.
They had her be around in the original game. There's a scene in X that's set during MK2 that has Devora in it.
I don't.
And it fits just fucking fine. I don't have a problem with these characters secretly existing off screen during past events. I don't need an excuse why they weren't there.
So Jade, anyway.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't think the relationship works, and there are story points connected to the relationship that bug the crap out of me.
They're casually fucking, I don't care. Kotal's backstory is a fucking mess independent of it. Whatever. Let's move on. What else did she do apart from, associate with Kotal?
I don't know, she used her relationship with Kotal to sign Kitana up for diplomatic missions that Kitana was a little salty about.
Ah, yes.
And then she sort of, when she found out Kotal is a genocidal crazy person towards the Tarkatans, she was like mad at him about that. And then I guess that shamed him into giving up the throne when he would have had to give it up anyway because he was paralyzed.
Oh, that's not bad in terms of direction to take her. Give her something to do.
I don't know. Her general role in the plot is this like diplomatic go-between between Kotal and Kitana. Which, I mean, you could say the relationship with Kotal was given to her to give her something to her personality beyond being Kitana's best friend. But now she's Kitana's best friend to two characters instead of just one character. I feel like maybe she had a little bit more of her own thing going on back in Deception, when her role was high-ranking military person who wants to capture the traitor.
Well, I appreciate the attempts at building her and Kotal's relationship into something. They have that scene where they're kind of riding through the desert and like remembering when they could do this alone, and it's an attempt. An attempt was made.
I don't know. I don't think that being a more important character's sidekick is necessarily such a bad role or something to run away from. I think you can keep a character in that role, and as long as you see the two of them interacting together a lot, and it's a likable interaction, that's enough. Like, Kung Lao works just fine as the guy who follows Liu Kang around and talks to him in a lot of scenes.
Sure, but I don't see...
Jack, Sonya, and Johnny work best when it's just the three of them hanging out and talking to each other. Smoke works the best when he has something to do with Sub-Zero.
Oh man, we're gonna have a talk about that next time.
Yeah, we are. It's coming.
Yeah. But I don't see the point with her having an association with one character. You know, it doesn't really affect anything. It's just another little bit of detail. It's the kind of thing that I was kind of hoped for.
It's fine. I just thought it fell flat. Maybe a better writer could make it work.
I think that's actually a huge part of it, you know? There are a lot of good ideas that could just stand to be fleshed out a little bit better and integrated a bit more organically, and she wants to have a boyfriend, that's cool, that's fine. She's got prior history, that's great. I don't think that we should content ourselves with just having this person be an accessory, if you will. If you ask me to give Smoke more background and flesh out his history, I'm not going to say no. It doesn't need to be the center of his story, but a little bit of detail is always nice.
If they were to want to develop Smoke having a connection to another character besides just Kuai Liang, I'm all for it. But I want to see that connection be formed in real time, as opposed to us being told that, oh, before we met him, this was a thing. I think that's one of the things that hurts Jade and Kotal for me, is that we're told, oh yeah, this relationship already exists from a long time ago and you just never saw it before. No, I want to see when two characters... I want to see how it forms, how it starts.
Having them ride on horseback together is a conciliatory measure, because I think that even Dom knows that. It's an attempt to posthumously give it some substance.
Let me present an alternative. Let's say that everything in 11 is exactly the same, except that Jade and Kotal don't hug and kiss immediately the first time they see each other. They just, like, there's an acknowledgement that they both know each other from working under Shao Kahn at the same time. And then Jade happens to be sent with Kotal to capture Devora. And they start flirting and form a connection in the horseback scene for the first time.
That could be. That absolutely would be a lot better. I'd love to see that. Many things.
Yeah, there you go.
Many things.
That's all I'm saying. Just don't have the meat and potatoes of a relationship happen off fucking screen.
There's being served the meat and potatoes and finding out it's delicious, and then there was being told the meat and potatoes was delicious, you know? I totally get it.
Yeah, it's...
You know, I'm not saying that we should necessarily be content with the quality of what we have. I just, unlike a lot of people out there, I just don't think that what we're being sold as a relationship is necessarily a bad or intrusive thing. It could have just been delivered better, that's all.
Indeed.
So what the hell else did you do? Oh, something I forgot to mention. Completely forgot to mention. Flashback. Jade has a hilarious typo in her Ultimate MK3 ending.
Okay.
Jade finds herself facing the Emperor in Kombat. Kombat.
In Mortal Kombat.
Mortal Kombat. There we go. Now we're having fun again.
Nice.
Okay, going.
I challenge you to Mortal Kombat.
I think they fixed it in the trilogy. Yes, they. Yes, they did.
Hope so.
Yes, they did.
Okay, that's good. Yeah, she didn't do much else in story mode. She was present for the assault on Kronika's Keep, and then in Aftermath, she was thrown through the boat instead, and we didn't see her again.
Well, she does also have that moment where she's confronting them while they bring the coffin up and around.
That's true. She's
We literally just covered that in our watch. We should remember these things better. But yeah.
She was there for the bringing the coffin with Sindel in it to the Soul Chamber.
She had feelings about it, as I recall.
I think those feelings were generally Shang Tsung bad. Necromancy bad.
Well, Kotal Khan was like, necromancy is forbidden! Bitch, do you not know where
he's standing in the Soul Chamber.
Do you not know where you are? Do you not know what world this is?
I don't think he does know how the Soul Chamber works.
I don't think he knows how the realms of Mortal Kombat work.
I'm sure the law that forbids necromancy was his idea. And he's too stupid to know what is and isn't necromancy, because he's Kotal Khan and he's kind of dumb.
Maybe necromancy in NRS's Outworld is kind of like states in the US that outlaw marijuana. It's illegal, but there's still 16 necromancers at the market every day.
One of my favorite bits in MKX is Kotal, who, for the past 20 years, has been buying weapons from Kano, thinks grenades are magic.
Dipshit.
I'm just saying, he probably doesn't know the Soul Chamber is necromancy. No necromancy, except when it fixes my spine. You're not allowed to steal souls, unless it benefits me directly and no one else.
Okay, no, you know what? She does not actually get to comment on the coffin at all. One Argus's name is happening out here. Shang Tsung, I thought I saw you slither away from the Colosseum. And this is Sindel's Revenant. We can restore her to life so she can join the fight against Kronika. And Jade's like, you have yet to convince me. Doesn't have any feelings about Sindel coming back one way or another. Cares more about Kotal getting his spine fixed. That seems a shame.
Yeah.
So,
although, to be fair, this version of Jade would have been taken from MK2 before Sindel was raised from the dead, so... Also, she probably doesn't know Sindel is a bad idea.
Truth. Anyway.
So yeah, that's pretty much it for her in story mode. What's her arcade ending say?
I'm afraid. Let's see. So, I held the power to shape time and destiny, but I was lost. Which Khan should be restored? My lover Kotal or my loyal friend Kitana? Ah, it's a choice again, it seems. So she's holding up the staff and it's being charged with lightning. I heard Kotal's voice call out to me, "Follow your heart, Jade." So I let my heart lead and took me to an unexpected place, a faint memory of home. And scene change. This is one of the really nice bits that I do enjoy in these endings.
Yeah, it was all right. I recall.
It's you get Kitana and Jade training together. Theoretically, while Jade's mom looks, I don't know. It's a woman in green in the background.
The scene is basically, what if Edenia had never been conquered? And it's Kitana and Jade as children growing up together, training in martial arts together, and it's the character, according to Kittleson, standing in the background watching them is Jade's mom. And the reason that he claims the Dream Lady and Jade's mom are the same person is because the art here of Jade's mom looks vaguely similar to the Dream Lady. Although I would dispute, I don't really think they do look anything alike. Because again, blue skin!
Right, because in the normal universe, Jade's parents sold her off.
Even in a universe where that never happened, the kind of people who would make that deal in the first place must have been assholes to begin with. But again, the premise of these endings is that the person with control of the hourglass is rewriting time to be exactly how they want it to be. So in that universe, her parents are nice.
I do think that there is room, because I think that it was 9 that said she was given to him as tribute. It might have been forced. I'm inclined to think that they might have done it, save their own skins. But again, I know that
the thing is compare her parents doing that to what happened to literally every other Edenian, which is they fight until they die.
That is true. I'm just saying.
Like, at the very minimum, her parents are fucking cowards.
Yes, absolutely. They might not be assholes, but they are at the very least cowards. That's the only point I'm making.
Fair enough.
So anyway, I restored my parents and Edenia, building a new era without Shao Kahn. Okay, so that is Jade's mom in this timeline back there, restored.
Yes.
And what a happy childhood I enjoyed. But as I matured, I sensed that I was no ordinary child. Chronicus' power dwelled within me. Child Jade's eyes are blazing with fire. It's kind of creepy, calling me to a higher purpose. When I came of age, I ascended to godhood as the protector of Edenia. Armed with the knowledge of past timelines, I challenged Shinnok and Cetrion. Without Chronicus' children pitting the realms against each other, all could be at peace, and remain so under my watchful eyes. So, there she is.
There was a recurring theme in the MK11 arcade endings, where everybody would, create a new timeline, and then they'd live in it like normal, until they remembered that they had Chronicus' powers when they grew up. Which is not what happens to Liu Kang at the end of story mode. When you reboot time, you're there at the beginning of the time as a grown adult with god powers. And then, we see Liu is still the god of time in Great Kung Lao's era. So, logically, shouldn't there be, I don't know, 2 Jades? Where, the one who controls the hourglass is up in Hourglass Land, and then her parents have, if her parents happen to exist in that timeline, they have their own Jade, who is naturally born because history is following its own course. So there would be 2 of whoever gets the hourglass. unless the person who gets the hourglass specifically changes history so that their parents don't get together, or their parents never existed, or their... Yeah, time travel is fucked up, you know?
It was always a mistake.
Because you change one little thing, and one of your great-great-great-grandparents is never born, you know?
Anyway, Jade's here in this ending, chopping off Shinnok's head with a glaive, and she's... Looks like she's whacking Cetrion in the side of the tit with her staff. I'm not sure what's happening there. Wonder what she'll do with this. What she'll do with the head. Well, it's another ending of Jade protects Sedenia.
Yeah. It's a little more original than the, I mean, historically...
It's better than breathing in and sucking people into a pyramid.
It's better than the several games in a row where at least one of the ninja girls would have a Charlie's Angels reference.
Oh, fuck that. Oh my god. Scrub that shit from my cerebellum.
Yeah. For a long time there, whenever they didn't have an idea for an arcade ending for Kitana, Melina, or Jade, they'd just go, they form an all-woman ninja team. Yeah, girl power. Doesn't say anything about the fucking character. It has nothing to do with the actual story.
I've got it. What if Ermac formed an all-dude team with most of himself?
Doesn't he do that in his arcade ending?
Yes, actually.
I mean,
he makes
all
an
of
army
the
out of
souls,
himself at one point.
the souls inside Ermac each split off and become an Ermac. So there's like 1,000 Ermacs.
There you go. Just play the Charlie's Angels theme over that. You're good.
He forms the all Ermac team.
It's a stand.
As opposed to the all male team or the all female team. All Ermacs all the time. Oops.
Big Mac attack.
All Ermacs.
I guess that's our entire look at Jade's storyline through the 3 NRS games. I mean, I guess if I had to summarize it, I'd call it laudable attempts at fleshing her out a little bit beyond being Kitana's friend or bodyguard, whatever you want to call it.
I would use the phrase "an attempt was made."
Yeah, not complaining. You know, I'm glad. You know, she's always been one of my favorite characters, and not up there, but it's nice to see them trying to give her some sort of development and attention.
Yeah. I mean, I can certainly see why you would want to. I think 11 did a better job of it than 9 did.
9 didn't give us all that much apart from just giving her a little bit of parental backstory and condensing her MK3 plot to, I'm helping my best friend. That's about it.
Yeah.
Then it took out her stomach. Or liver.
And
or whatever.
again, her chapter was fucking filler. Nothing happened.
It was, but it can't all be zingers.
I mean, it's a tightrope you have to walk with, like, does it matter that it's filler when the point of story mode is just to play, you know? Like, Ed Boon sees them as a fucking training mode, but then at the same time it's like, well then why don't you make every character, give them all a chapter instead of only like half of them? So, you know, you win some, you lose some.
I suppose now we talk about her various outfits and our fatality favorites.
Indeed. I mean, we already covered, as I said, my favorites are her 2 Deception outfits, and I like the Pigtails UMK3 one better of those 2.
It's tough for me to choose, honestly, going through them all. Deception's probably the clear winner as far as best costumes overall goes. I guess I would take the masked one as my overall favorite, but I just, whenever I think of Jade, I think of that bun. If not for the oxtails, probably my favorite one overall.
Yeah, I don't know, it's just because I've never liked the bun. I like the idea of giving each of the ninja girls a variation on the bun. Like, for Melina, it's a loose ponytail. For Jade, it's the 2 buns with the pigtails dangling from them. And for Kitana, it's what she had in Deadly Alliance, where it's like a really long segmented ponytail. It's like the first segment, like at the back of her head, is kind of a bun.
It's weird for me. Like I've always, when I think, like I've said this before, when I think of Kitana, I think of the MK2 outfit. when I think of Melina, I usually think of the Ultimate MK3 outfit because, like, the lacing and the bust being a bit more prominent, that kind of really speaks to Melina to me. But with Jade, I have a hard time choosing an outfit more than either of them. It's odd.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess it's the ultimate alternate from Deception, I suppose.
Yeah. I mean, if I was limiting it to the arcade era, I think I see Melina more in the MK2 than in the Ultimate, and I see Jade in the Ultimate, because Melina makes more sense to me with her hair loose and not tied. I don't know. Because there is also the thing of, like, well, the showing more skin is Melina's thing. And I don't know, because Kitana got to keep the Ultimate outfit in gold, whereas Melina got a new costume.
Mm-hmm. True. I think that if we lived in a world where MK4, I guess, I don't want to say looked better, but wasn't quite as polygonal, and maybe she debuted in 4, it'd be more prominent in people's minds. But I feel like the Melina 4 outfit just kind of got lost to time a little bit.
Yeah, it's gone a little bit forgotten. It's a bit plain.
It was the start of something.
I like it.
Anyway,
yeah.
Fatality time. And again, with Jade, I have a hard time choosing a favorite. Not because there's a lot that I really love, but because I find it tough to strike a balance between things I feel like you should be able to do with a bow staff that make sense, that look right. Things you can do with a glaive that are interesting and unique. Because it usually winds up being some combination of, like, slash a guy apart with the staff, or, like, cut their head off with the glaive.
Yeah, like, the most common thing...
A lot of her fatalities are just really multi-step ones, and it feels a little bit odd, usually.
The thing that she seems to get most commonly is throw the glaive, it cuts off their head, and then it comes back to her.
Yeah.
Some variation of that. And then, like, when it comes to using the staff, and again, sometimes it's like, I thought it was a glass tube, but now it works like a lightsaber. And it was certainly an interesting choice in Ultimate to be like, what if she sticks the staff into them and then shakes it back and forth? What?
You know, her fatalities in Ultimate are like the epitome of, I have fond memories of it, but it was just so fucking silly and stupid. It really was.
Yeah. Yeah,
like,
there's...
I could love the one where she uppercuts you, but she just keeps holding the staff and you fall on top of it, and it's like she's holding this gigantic pogo stick sausage of a human being on one hand. Like, neither of them look exactly right.
Yeah, it's just slightly off that, like... I don't know if she planted the staff in the ground, so it was more like that you're coming down on a spike, and less like, yes, I'm supporting 250 pounds with one arm, what's it to you?
It would have looked much better if she'd just, like, thrown it into the ground and they'd landed on it that way, like a pit spike.
Yeah, something like that would be perfectly fine. I don't know. Personally, if I was going to, like, invent a Jade fatality, the first thing that comes to mind is, like, what if she holds it up like a pole vault and runs at you, and shoves it into your mouth, and forces you onto the ground, and pole vaults, and your fucking face is the pivot point, and you just fucking, she leaps off screen, and your head's been crushed by the staff.
The weirdness continued in Deception, where she had one where she just kind of casually tossed the pole, and in Deception, her poles had these huge, elaborate, ornate ends.
Yeah,
which made it look even sillier.
There were cones on the end. They were sort of flat tipped, so they weren't even spikes. But
no,
it was like a curtain rod.
And in her first one, she just tosses it sideways through your head, grabs each end next to your head, flips you over, and the momentum of hitting the ground bounces them and tears their head off.
Yeah,
and she does a little twirl with the head on the end of the stick.
She does the Kung Lao Ziggy Go Lick It, but with her staff in your head.
Pretty much. And her second one is just kind of like a straight charge run through with the staff that chops them in half.
Yeah, it was like the anime samurai cut.
That's basically it, yes.
But with a pole.
Again, keep in mind, off and weird.
This is Deception, so it's not a lightsaber yet. It's a metal pole.
Girl has got upper arm strength.
It feels like they made too many fatalities for Kenshi, and she got the runoff because she was there.
There's a definite theme of we're not really sure what to do with this girl that's got this blunt instrument. How do you kill people properly with it?
There's a lot of fatalities in Deception where I often wonder if they just had a recording session where they just did ideas without having a character in mind, just random things, and then they had this pile of animations and they handed them out.
Okay, so in 9, she basically does what would have looked better in 3. She, kind of punts them upward with a kick, slams the staff into the ground, and they land on top of it. Then she rips off your head, and then she sticks that onto the end of the pole. That's a pretty good one, I think.
Yeah, that's fine.
It's stylish.
I liked the other one better, though.
The original from 3?
No, the other one in 9, her second fatal.
So yeah, she flings a glaive that goes through the neck, chops their head off, and while they're kind of reeling there, she blazing nitro kicks forward, knocks them over before the head falls, and she catches it.
Yeah, it's just the glaive ones seem a little more natural to me, whereas the pole ones tend to be either a silly idea or there's a step too many involved.
In 11, one of the ones she has is it's like a lightsaber. She cuts off your legs and your arms, and then your head, and does this backward pose where she slams it through your mouth.
Yeah,
but yes, it feels
it's a classic NRS too many steps finisher. Plus the weird lightsaber, because it's fucking... In the same game, you have some animations where it's cutting with energy, and some animations where it's clonk clonk, I'm hitting you with a tube. It's weird. It's weird.
They definitely struggle with finding things for her to do. And her other one, she grabs you by the back of the head, she grabs you by the head, flings you around, puts the staff down, while you're unbalanced, and it extends lightsaber-like through the back of the head, up through the eye socket, which knocks out an eyeball. I think that they could have ended it there, but then she teleports to their other side, brings out the glaive, slashes them, and bisects them sideways, and then grabs the torso and spins it around the pole.
Well, yeah, here's the thing. The money shot of that fatality, the fun part, is you're impaled on the pole, and she spins you. And it's kind of like a reverse reference to her MK9 win pose, where she would pole dance like a stripper.
On the topic of which, I think that's one of the reasons why we didn't even bother discussing her 9. Her Kitana and Melina all have that kind of stripper aesthetic to them.
Yeah, I have...
No one's favorite costumes. No one's.
I have aesthetic problems with the 9 outfit just because the black stripes on it stop at her tits. They don't... If you were designing the stripes on a costume, they would go all the way from the top to the bottom. They wouldn't just magically stop at the cups, because you don't know where the cups are going to be, because it's a slingshot bikini. It doesn't have them built in. So it ends up creating this weird checkerboard pattern on her chest.
I hate the 9 outfits so much. I really dislike it.
I don't think it's bad. I like the belt and the boots. I think it's got a perfectly fine mask. I just think the pattern of the stripes on the top doesn't really make sense, and it seems like it's only there to emphasize the titties.
Probably. I think my problem is I look at it and I go, if this palette was swapped to purple, could I picture Melina wearing it? And the answer is, like, right away, yes. And if Melina's wearing it, I don't think by default it should be something Jade or Kitana would be.
Well, I also am of the opinion that if you're remaking MK2 and 3, the three girls should be dressed more alike than different.
More alike, but Melina should be the one showing all the skin.
Yeah. Like, I'm not... to be fair, Melina's outfit still does show more skin than that.
I'd call it about equal, honestly.
I don't know. Melina's got, like...
Melina shows off less shoulder, but that's about it.
She's got these cutout areas around, like, her midsection. It's like her outfit is a two-piece with tiny straps connecting them up the abs.
Jade's also showing ever so slightly more thigh.
I don't consider thigh sexual, and I think it's weird that, like in superhero costumes and fighting games, we're seeing more and more people wear pants who used to wear, like a one-piece and thigh highs. That bothers me, because it's aesthetically not as good looking, and it has really nothing to do with whether or not it gets my dick hard.
Thanks.
It's just an artistic choice that I don't agree with.
What was her other 9 outfit? I'm not remembering it.
Her other 9 outfit was... Her old costume was the one that was kind of like her Deception primary, but more closer to Slave Leia in Return of the Jedi.
Yeah, I like it
her
more.
Her hair was even in a braid.
Again, it feels more Amazonian than sexy.
I get that, but at the same time, it's almost exactly Slave Leia.
I guess, although it's a bit greener.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I just think that, like, the chains on her hips in the main, and that combined with the laces, it's just a wee bit too fan servicey. I've never liked her 9 main.
I don't know. I like the chains.
Anyway, on to the 11. So we have opinions about 11s.
11 is, I mean, there's a couple different outfits. There's like 30 different outfits.
Quite.
But the main two that people will talk about is the Revenant, which is fine. It's Revenant-y. It looks like it's made out of patchwork leather, and it's got metal spiky jewelry on it everywhere, and the one thing I like about her Revenant outfit is that the green parts have this swirly marble pattern, like the gemstone Jade.
I do think that they could have provided a bit better contrast between her gray skin and the gray on the outfit.
Yeah, I mean, that's the problem with all of the Revenants and their outfits, is not only are they gray, but their clothes are desaturated. So it's a grayish shade of green, and instead of black, it's gray. Everything is gray all the time. So much fucking gray.
But the other one that we would discuss, I guess if we're bringing 11 outfits to mind, is, I guess, what everyone calls the Robin Hood outfit.
Yeah, it's the one that Alive Jade wears in story mode. Which, the primary palette of which is sort of a slightly purplish brown with green trim, as opposed to being mainly green with black trim, like she usually is. I'm not sure why the brown.
That's my question, too. Why not black?
I don't mind the hood. The hood kind of makes sense, and for years I've seen fan art of people putting Jade in a hood.
No, the hood's good.
It kind of, because she's... I mean, she was never a member of the Edenian Rebellion, but she has that Edenian Rebellion spirit to her character. So, like a cloak and hood kind of makes a lot of sense. And it also fits, like, the Amazonian theme a little bit, too. It's very sort of Dungeons and Dragons-y.
Yeah. For all the...
I don't understand the main color scheme. Because obviously there is a color scheme you can unlock where it's all green with black trim like it should be.
Yes. That's the one I switched to.
Yeah, I'm sure everybody did.
I think that we all have questions about why maybe they wanted to, I don't know, make a nod to the original color of her staff by giving her that. I don't know.
Yeah, I wonder if that's what it is, that they because it's not quite a purple. It's more brown than purple, but it is slightly purple. I wonder if that was their compensation for the fact that none of her moves have purple in them anymore. But it's not adequate. It's not doing it for me. I would just rather her moves have fucking purple energy because it looks better.
Yeah, that's why I switched to the retro. I needed that purple staff.
Yeah, I can really only use the retro skins because those are the only ones that give you purple staff.
The green staff just, as we've said, it's too much. There's too much.
And while I'm complaining about gear,
oh boy,
I do want to bring up how fucking obnoxious it is. You've got like 40 fucking pieces for any one category of gear in this game. Out of 40 staves, not a single one is solid metal or the Deception Curtain Rod. Those are two designs that are from retro games that they could have brought back to fill one of those 42 fucking slots. Nope.
I know that they were saving the straight color for the retro. Same as with Kitana's MK2 fans.
But it's still a glowing purple. It's not actually just a metal pole.
See, at that point, it becomes a question about programming. Because they probably couldn't make it not glow.
Well, they've got all these sections on her other staves that don't glow, like the handles.
I don't know.
Just make a staff that's all handle. It can have a glowing aura coming off of it because it did when she did her moves.
You know what?
It just doesn't need to be a tube made of glass, for fuck's sake.
As fair compensation for that, I think she had a nice set of glaives. There was a lot of good stuff there to choose from. I remember having a lot of fun with that day one. This one looks nice. Ooh, I want that one.
And there are classic options in her glaives. You can get like a Deception-looking glaive. You can get like a glaive that kind of looks like Kitana's fans.
Yeah. If
you want that MK2 reference.
I did that.
There were plenty of glaives.
Props for those.
She shares most of her masks with fucking Scarlet.
Yes, these patterns are familiar. At least she got an unmasked possibility.
Yeah, she got unmasked, and she's got, plain masks that look nice.
She did, yeah. I mean, like everyone else, I was really tickled pink. Or green. Her. To coin a phrase. When the retro came along. But I didn't hate a lot of what she had already. I think she got one of the better setups out there.
The hooded outfit in green with black, the version of that same outfit without the hood. She had some options. I still mainly use the retros because purple staff, but
yeah. You know what?
And it is nice that all the girls got an MK2 and a UMK3.
It is.
Because of the male ninjas, not so much. Despite one of those things being in the first trailer for the game.
I knew it was coming up. I knew it.
Why?
Plans fell through, probably. I don't know.
Why's it gotta be this way?
Fucking screenshots a meme at this point. You know what people like? People like Witch Jade. People like Witch Jade a lot.
I have no... Witch Jade is a nice outfit. She's got a cleavage window.
I didn't understand it when it happened. People were going nuts left and right over it. And I'm like, it's just a silly Halloween costume. But it is a nice, intricate, detailed outfit. I think I was just salty because at that point it had purple and her regular staffs didn't. And then when they put out the retro... It bitched that purple all to hell, and she started using green, and people got pissed off.
Yeah,
it's just proof. It's just proof the purple looks better. Proof isn't.
It should be all purple all the time. I don't know why.
Yeah.
What kind of person doesn't think that?
I don't know, dude. So, guess that's it. You've chosen your favorite fatality. I guess that mine is by default her MK9 one where she knocks you up and like lets you fall onto the thing while it's on the ground.
Yeah.
Probably. Favorite outfit of mine would probably be the Deception alternate. I guess.
Yeah. That's where I'm
at. Special shout out goes to her 9-Babality where she throws a little glaive and it doinks her on the head and she starts crying. It's cute. And I think that's it for the games.
Yeah, that's it. Which brings us to adaptation media, of which Jade has been in some things.
Fair amount. More than some.
So, in a way, she's been in most things. But some of those things she's not actually in. There's just a weird knockoff character that's her by another name.
Well, we'll start with Malibu.
Yeah, we'll start with Malibu.
And I'll summarize it very briefly because I want to go into more detail into it because she's teamed up with Smoke the entire way through it.
Yeah.
And like I mentioned earlier, this is before Ultimate, so she didn't have her glaive and her staff. She basically just had powers of charging her fist green and punching people at the time. So she's teamed up with Smoke, and in the Malibu universe, before they had a proper origin story, it was assumed that they were both from Outworld, but they were basically both just wannabes who wanted to get into Shao Kahn's good graces and be some of his top dogs.
Yeah, they're fucking bottom-ranked jobbers.
Yeah. And they start things off by trying to attack Jax in a hospital bed. And he just kind of wakes up and grabs them and clonks their heads together. And then they run away.
They bop around like the bulk and skull of the Mortal Kombat universe.
Next issue in that very same series, they try to ambush Jax and Johnny on a plane. And, you know, I could probably just skip to the end of this whole thing. They're like, Malibu is just Jade and Smoke getting their asses kicked left and right. They don't do anything special. Nothing awesome happens. It really isn't worth discussing, except to discuss Smoke, and I will do that another time.
Yeah. Yeah, he's really the one of the two who has something interesting to say about him.
Yeah.
It's just, and Jade was there too.
Pretty much. Malibu Jade was proto-Jade. The only real notable thing is her fist glowed green. That's about it.
I do vaguely recall from the dialogue there was a sense of, like, Jade treats Smoke like he's the fuck up and she's the smart one, always telling him what to do.
I'll revisit it before next time. But they both just seem like chronic losers.
Yeah, there's not a lot going on there.
So, skip ahead about 2 years, and we have Mortal Kombat 1995, the movie.
Right, which didn't have Jade in it, but was originally intended to.
She is in both the script and the novelization.
Yes. Originally, her appearance would have consisted entirely of fighting and losing to Sonya in the tournament.
As it happens, I have the novelization with me right here.
Part of me wonders if, because obviously there's a lot of reasons to cut a scene in a movie if it feels like filler, or, you know, you're trying to trim for time or whatever, or maybe budget if it was, you know, save some money by shooting less stuff. But part of me wonders if the reason this particular fight was cut is because Bridget Wilson just couldn't hang.
It's possible.
Because Sonya has the least fights in the movie, and the one with Kano wasn't very good. And we know that, you know, Bridget was cast last minute after, what's her face from There's Something About Mary had to bow out because she broke her hand or whatever. So Bridget hadn't had as much training to prepare for the role as the other actors.
If this novelization is anything to go by, she wouldn't have needed that much for the scene anyway. I tend to think that this was cut for time, or pacing.
I remember it not being a long fight.
Facing Sonya was an Asian woman with long black hair.
Asian.
Yeah, we'll get to that in a second.
Twice.
Wherever the woman's flesh wasn't covered with shimmering green silk, it was covered with tattoos showing leaping tigers and coiling dragons. The woman swayed slightly from side to side and spun 2 flashing half-moon daggers around her body in a dazzling display of skill. Her knives made a whirring sound as they split the air, and the early morning light glittered from their edges. They made a cage of living steel around the woman, which it would seem impossible for anyone to penetrate. Sonya watched barehanded as the woman demonstrated the knives' effectiveness. "That's Jade," Johnny said as he came up, catching Sonya's eye. "Tough girl." Sonya looked through Johnny as if he wasn't there. Then she turned her attention back to her opponent. The display was over. The woman took a ready stance, her weight on her back leg, one of the half-moon daggers held behind and above her head, the other at waist level before her. The Special Forces soldier took a step forward, then bowed low toward the woman with the daggers. After holding the deep bow for a moment, Sonya stood again, feet together, looking calmly at her opponent. The Asian woman pulled herself in from her guard position and returned the respectful acknowledgement. When Jade was at the deepest part of her bow, Sonya kicked her in the head with the toe of her left combat boot. The daggers flew from the tattooed woman's hands as she was knocked upright then over, so that she lay on her back, eyes open, blood oozing from her mouth, nose, and ears. Sonya turned and walked back toward Johnny Cage. "Not that tough," she said. A little farther away, Shang Tsung was waiting for her. "Excellent," Shang said. "Flawless victory."
You know, that would have been the only time in the entire script where someone was correct when they used the term flawless victory.
That's it. That's Jade's part in the 1995 movie, according to the novelization. The script actually does have them fighting a little bit back and forth. Let me see.
I mean, if it wasn't, you know, just a gag to end the fight in a single move, the fighting dirty, kicking someone while they're bowing would be a good Sonya character moment.
I think it really works. I enjoy it.
Yeah.
It's a shame it didn't make it in. But yes, she's Asian. And, this would not be the first time that we didn't get her ethnicity right.
Yeah. Yeah, so, then we finally did get to see Jade in Annihilation.
Portrayed by the Russian supermodel Irina Pantaeva.
Yes, Russian by nationality, but I believe Mongolian by ethnicity.
Ah.
I was looking it up the other day.
She was born in Ulan-Ude, capital city of the Republic of Buryatia, Russia.
Yeah, she's a member of some ethnic group I can't remember the pronunciation of that basically traces to Mongolian China.
Well, fair enough. So she's Russian-Chinese in Annihilation.
Basically.
At least she's actually using a staff this time.
There is that. Characterization-wise, more of a Tanya, really.
Yeah, that was something I came out of the movie very confused about back in the day.
Yeah, she... somebody...
This is where she makes the choice to... No?
Okay.
Okay.
Somebody at Threshold read the bio, where she has to choose between Shao Kahn and Kitana, and then didn't read the ending and decided that she chooses Shao Kahn.
Perhaps they felt there were already too many good guys.
Maybe. I honestly think maybe, because given the timing of Annihilation, 97, MK4 was out, maybe they were legitimately combining Jade with Tanya.
Possible.
Which is funny, because both of those are black chicks, and they still went with an Asian girl.
Ouch. Ouch.
I don't get it, man. I don't get it. And the confusion only runs deeper when it comes to Threshold attempting to adapt versions of Jade, because then we have there's a character in Mortal Kombat Defenders of the Realm named Ruby, who is a an appropriately dark-skinned woman, but instead of being a green ninja, she's a red ninja who works under Ermac. And in her episode, she starts out working with the bad guys, and then chooses to help the good guys by the end of the episode because she used to be friends with Kitana. So this is a more accurate version of Jade, except it's not fucking Jade.
So, let's count them. Malibu, and MK95 scripted novel, and Annihilation. Ambiguous, possibly Asian in 1, 2, 3 straight. Now we have someone who actually is black and isn't Jade.
Exactly. And then, in Mortal Kombat Conquest, Kitana has a best friend who turns on her, who is a dark-skinned woman, and her name is neither Jade nor Tanya. It's Kali. So they, once again, have made up an OC and grafted one of those two characters onto it.
Again, Conquest is like 97, 98. Jade is available for use. Did they maybe think that she'd be... Maybe they thought that people saw Annihilation and went, well, we can't reconcile that character with being a friend of Kitana. Let's make up someone new. You think?
Again, why not call it Tanya then?
I don't know, dude.
And I'll tell you another thing. There's a later episode where Kali ends up working for Quan Chi, which is not that different from what Tanya does in MK4. So the question continues to be, why do they keep making up these not Jade Tanyas and then getting the actual Jade Tanyas wrong?
You know, in retrospect, it's actually really easy to see why Jade's MK9 render being whitewashed pissed so many people off. They just can't fucking do it, man. It's too hard. Honestly, if I was black and I was a fan of this character, I'd be pissed the fuck off.
I don't understand what's so difficult about just using Jade and Tanya, making them look like Jade and Tanya, making them act like Jade and Tanya, and naming them Jade and Tanya. What the fuck is the... What's getting in the way here? Where's the problem? I'm not seeing it.
What's more confusing? This, or Ermac having the ability to spontaneously vomit Noob Saibot out of his chest?
You know what? I can almost accept Noob melting out of Ermac, because maybe Noob was just there all along and he was just hiding on Ermac. Maybe it's not Ermac's power.
I see.
It's just Noob being sneaky.
Covered in oil, we are.
Fuck it, why not?
Do we have anything to say about her Annihilation appearance, really, apart from the fact that she got to fight Takonga Fury, which is a really, really bitchin' song?
I mean, to this day, I think of Konga Fury as the Jade theme song.
I tend to as well. What an ignominious end, being fed to a wall.
She was fed to a wall. And the wall burped.
Also, Irina Panteva, bless you. You could not act, but you tried, and I love you for it.
She certainly did try. An attempt was made.
Oh, goodness.
You know what? She was a model. You know, sometimes people cast models to act and they can't.
I have seen models who give worse performances.
Yeah.
I like that. I do like that one close-up of her face where she's like trying to strangle Lou with a staff on the ground, and she's like all demented and like snarling.
Yeah, she does. She does have a good evil maniacal grin.
Yeah.
I'll give her that. But
Seriously.
So in the plot of Annihilation, her job is to wait until they have Sindel captured, and then her and Sindel will trick the good guys and kill them all. Except that when they pull their little trap, they just laugh, haha, I'm still evil, and run away.
There's no fight, there's nothing.
They literally do nothing.
You fools! You've been tricked! And Sindel spins around and Jade runs away.
Haha, we gotcha. And then they leave. I can see why Khan fed her to a fucking wall.
Like, he slapped her in the face, I remember that, and then she said something. What the hell was it? Like, there were too many of them?
Yeah, there were too many of them. We just barely escaped with our lives. Something like that.
Did they just not expect there to be so many people?
Jade was traveling with them from the beginning. She knew how many were in the group. And there's a point where the group is split up. Because Raiden is fighting the 3 reptiles. And, I forget where everybody else was, because it was all happening off screen, but somehow they knock out and capture Sindel. It's a trick. Sindel's, supposed to jump them and chooses not to and runs away. I'm just thinking, at the point where they were all split up and fighting, couldn't Jade have, say, turned on them then and stabbed Jax in the back?
She could have tried something. No, but she just kind of looks around all shifty-eyed and walks away, slinking quietly into the night.
Or Sindel could have pretended to be successfully turned good for longer before they, quote-unquote, spring their trap.
Or she
could
have
wait
let
until
out
the right moment and then attack them.
She could have let out a sonic scream right away. Something. What a strange scene.
Literally do anything, because that would be more than nothing.
Well, we sort of Conga Fury out of the deal.
Yeah.
Alright, so now we have to zoom forward a couple of years, because she's not in, Legacy at all.
No, and that was the only media that was made between Conquest and the present until
Battle of the Realms, I think.
Yeah, that was the next time we would see Jade adapted.
Yes.
And did she have any lines?
Maybe one, but nothing very memorable, I don't think.
No, she's mostly just there to fill in a tournament fight.
She's fodder.
Yeah, Liu Kang beats her up, snaps her staff, which is kind of becoming a habit with Liu Kang and Jade fights.
Indeed. She doesn't die. We see her later on.
A lot of people were afraid. A lot of people were afraid she'd die in that fight because they do the thing where the animation gets all red and blurry to show a particular hit is especially violent. But no, she's standing around in a group shot later in the movie. She's perfectly fine.
And that's it. That's Jade.
Yeah, that's that is it.
As with most things, as with most outfits that are ported to the animated movies, it's her 9 outfit but drastically improved. It feels less stripper.
It's her 9 outfit, but they fixed the stripes that bother me over her tits. That's the only change they made. They fucking fixed it. She does have the green MK11 staff, I believe, though. I don't think it was purple. Should have been purple.
Again, something about seeing it in animated form like this just makes it look inherently better than it did in 9. Maybe it's the body proportions being better because, that was still 9 in Injustice days.
Yeah, I mean, everybody's body was jank in 9 with the weird shoulders and everything like that.
Seriously, it just somehow looks less stripper-tastic in animated form. That's all I can really say.
I think it's the subtle changes to the body proportions and the shape of the clothing covers slightly more skin than it did in the game.
Yeah, you're probably right about that. That's what makes it look a little bit more dignified, I suppose, in my perspective. And I guess that is it.
Yeah,
that's Jade.
That's the whole retrospective. She didn't really do anything in the movie. I mean, the movie goes through the whole Kitana turns on Shao Kahn, gets chained up in the arena, later is freed, and her and Liu Kang have a romance kind of out of nowhere. Jade kind of just stands by and watches and doesn't really have any input on the situation at any point.
We know that there was probably cut Melina material, so maybe she could have had a couple extra lines if they'd been planning to do something there. I don't know.
Possibly.
No way to know for certain. So that's Jade. That's all of Jade's history. She's just kind of around. They try to give her some stuff here and there. It's nice, it's appreciated. But it never really quite falls through. She's just... something's always in the way, you know? Either they can't cast her properly, they plan to take her places that go nowhere. And you know, it's disappointing, because everyone wants their favorite character to have, like, their 15 minutes in the sun, and Jade was all set to have this huge impact on the timelines and whatnot, and then, you know, 11 comes along. Almost there, not quite. And as a Jade fan, it sucks to see. Really, I think she needed...
it's a rough existence being a more important character's sidekick. I don't think it has to be. Like, Kung Lao has, of all of the sidekick characters, the three of them, like him and Smoke and Jade, he's, you know, gotten the most play. And most of the time, other than the fact that they write him as an obnoxious, jealous guy, the amount of play he gets is perfectly fine. And he gets plenty of dialogue and stuff to do.
Well, he also gets straight up...
if they'd stop killing him.
Yeah, he also gets straight up fucking murdered more often than not these days. I kind of almost wish we'd waited a little bit to record, like... Well, no, it would have been a couple of years since we did that a little while ago.
Yeah.
But, like, we'd have probably had a very different Kung Lao retrospective if we recorded it today. Because it goes to show how hard it can be being someone's backup.
He has been killed off twice more since that episode, yes.
Alright. So, hope you Jade fans out there like this one.
At least Jade doesn't die as often as Kung Lao does, yeah. And she gets to be in way more games than Smoke, so
that's very true.
Maybe of the three sidekicks, she's actually making out the best.
In terms of being a consistent presence, I'd say probably, yeah. NRS really seems to like her. They want to bring her back time after time. They remember she exists. Katana gets her moves when she's not around.
I mean, she's always consistently popular, mostly because she's got an attractive look. And then there's a dedicated fan base for anyone who happens to be from the realm of Edenia.
Very true. Well, I hope to see much more of her in the future. I always liked her.
I would like to see more of her trying to catch Rain, like in Deception.
Yeah, you know, before we started this, I started looking over her dialogues to see if there was anything particularly interesting that, like, her and Rain have to say to each other. And it's just the usual, oh, you're an arrogant piece of shit. There were a couple of interesting tidbits, though. Apparently, according to Baraka, all of Tarkata reveres Jade. She's very well respected.
Well, as I said, my view of Jade, my interpretation of her in the old timeline before they established that her job is bodyguard, I always just assumed that she was a hidden character because she was the best of the assassin girls.
Yeah.
That she's a better fighter and better at stealth than Kitana and Melina are.
That tracks for me. Out of all three of them, I would easily peg her as the one that, like, throws a glaive into the back of your head from behind a tree. Absolutely. Aaron Black also calls her quite a looker. That's cute.
Well, Aaron says that about half the girls in the game.
He is a bit of a horn dog. And there is a bit of dialogue between Lou and Kotal Khan where he's like, Jade wishes me to tell you that she knows about you and Kitana. Oh? Yes. She wants me to remind you that she is her bodyguard, or some shit like that. It's like, Jade and Lou in a room together, it's just Jade pointing at her eyes and pointing at Lou and pointing back at her own eyes. She knew. Or my friend.
My girlfriend is friends with your girlfriend, and she says, watch your ass.
Yeah, pretty much, that's it. I'd really like to see her smack Rain in the back of the head one of these days. Missed opportunity.
I mean, it would be nice to have Edenia be free in a game. It would be nice to have more Rain in general. That's a character we'll get to in 3 years at this rate.
You know what? Maybe not. Maybe not. We'll see.
I mean, we always say we're going to get faster, and then we get slower.
Alright. Well, let's just say that for the next episode, which shall remain mysteriously nameless, I would like to have it recorded before the end of the year.
I've got nothing better to do.
Well, alright then.
The only excuse is laziness now.
So noted. On that note, thank you all very much for listening and for tuning in. And we'll see you, hopefully sooner than you'd think.
One would hope.
Because the next one is something that we've been looking forward to for a very long time. I think you know who we mean.
See you later, nerds.
Toasty, motherfuckers.